Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Samsung Online Esports Showdown, where we have today's grand final title, which is going to be Dota 2. So far, we've had over 2,200 people or players participating from home, taking on in over 11 different titles. We've concluded so many grand finals up to this point, and today we'll be having one more Battle of the Giants here for Dota 2. We're going to be having Team G-Men taking on PnX Esports. So that's going to be a very interesting game, and obviously, it wouldn't be perfect without the man himself, the man with at least 15,000 hours under his belt, introducing none other than Sashika Chera Muthukumarana. So you all probably know him really well. So hi Sashika, how are you? And welcome to the stream.
Hi Osman, hi. Mind you, correction that 15,000 hours, majority of that is AFK. Don't give wrong information to people. and But yeah, it's good to be back. I haven't been in the Dota scene. I mean, I haven't been in the competitive scene for some time, but definitely been watching the Sri Lankan talent. I mean, we do have a lot of up and coming players, and we do see them in the grand finals, especially on the PnX Esports team, but the other grand finals team, which is the G-Men, very standard team. We have seen them over the years. We have the likes of Hockey, Paradox, we have Sagemeister, we have Shauban. Yeah, so basically all the players that we have known over the years, but the PnX Esports team does have a couple of new names. We have, of course, leading the team, we do have Shanal AB Daniel, and combined with him is, I think, Ara is playing for them, as well as a new Amrut, who some people might know him from StarCraft. He's playing for AB's team as well. So we do have a couple of new players on the side of PnX Esports. It's going to be an interesting match for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So it's we'll see whether it's the usual, whether things have changed ever since you and me have kind of dropped out from the competitive scene. Obviously, it's been a while since we did visit this way once again. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. Let's see whether anything has changed, whether the way Dota is being played has changed. I mean, the game has changed a lot. Ever since we really took a break in with the inclusions of neutral items from the jungle, as well as how the patches change, and now even denying not giving you the EXP that you'll be able to get usually. So a lot of changes, and maybe that might even change the way that they play the lane. Maybe supports can be more aggressive. They don't really need to focus on denying, and etc. etc. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they execute the game for sure, and that early laning stage and the mid game, especially after that, the necessity for supports to actually spend a lot of gold on wards and sentries. But anyway, before we do get into the game, and before we talk to Terra a little bit more, we obviously have to give a huge shout out and a mention about our titles partners as well as the sponsors of the event. So Samsung doing a great job, basically stay apart to stay together. And I mean, recently that seems to be very, very true. And just by staying apart, how much we can help each other to stay safe and just basically be vigilant regarding the current situation that is going on in not just in the country but in the world. So hats off to Samsung, and obviously having that great and amazing line of mobile phones as well, just to be able to keep yourself occupied. And I think anyone who doesn't have a PC or a mobile phone with them is going to have a very difficult time keeping themselves occupied during this lockdown, because either to watch a TV series or something, or even just game in general, it's always going to be great. And obviously even MSI coming online with us and with their new 10th generation gaming laptops, and I mean, I think no better time than right now to pick yourself one up, because you can play every single game that you want with no issue, with best specs that you can probably find, with a duo fan and do a very good cooling system, as well as a very, very good graphic cards that's very expensive usually to get, but at very affordable prices. So great stuff coming out from MSI as well. But anyway, coming back into the matches at hand. So Terra, we'll be seeing the rosters of the teams in a little bit, but overall, how much do you think Dota has changed, and how fast-paced do you think the game has become ever since the changes being made from the last few patches?
Okay, so I'll get to that in a bit. Let's take a look at the rosters, right? So this is the first time I'm seeing the complete roster from both teams. So on the side of G-Men, we do have the likes of Hockey, Paradox, Satan. We have Sagemeister, Toadboss, and Shauban. This is a very well-known team. They have been playing for years and years, and very established players in the community. And on the side of PnX Esports, we have the likes of AB, we have Ara, who are both coaches on their own rights. They have gone international, and AB is still an international coach as well. So a lot of experience on that side, as well as you have Dinuka Pereira, or known as the local Burning, who is an extremely good carry player. He has proven himself over the years and has not given up that spot as being one of the best carriers in the country. And then we have the legend himself, Tenza Zengetsu, probably one of the greatest players to come out of Sri Lankan Dota. And he has been around. I mean, he's pretty old. He is there from the inception of Dota in the country, so a lot of experience in that team. And the two new players are here that I'm seeing: Legolas, that is Matrix, as well as Amy Pai. Amy Pai has been playing Dota since for a really long time, but not having really shown himself in the competitive scene as much. It's the first time I think I'm seeing him in a grand finals. So it's good to see new players entering these top two teams, as well as we have Matrix also coming in. He's a very new player. I haven't seen him at all, so we'll have to wait and see how he performs. So they got to the grand finals, so I'm assuming he's pretty decent. So we'll have to wait and see how he performs. And getting back to the question that you asked about how much the game has got faster, the game has actually got faster. I think there is more opportunities where they fight, even though because, especially due to the fact that the usual tri-lane meta has switched. It has been gone for some time now. You do see the dual lanes. You do see the 2-1-2 majority of the time. So it allows a bit more killing potential on either side, because you're not going up against, you're not 1 against 3, you're always 2 against 2. There is always a potential of one guy tipping in for a fight. And now everyone is technically forced to fight kind of at the 5-minute mark, where the bounty rune comes up, and then at the 10-minute mark you have the bounty runes as well as the outpost that you need to capture, which gives you EXP. So Dota is basically kind of forcing you to fight a lot more than what it used to previously. And playing around this is very important, because those small experience gains and bounties is where the difference is in the early game, especially the 10-minute EXP. The outpost EXP is very critical. It could be the difference between our support getting level 6 or not. And we all know early game supports getting level 6 is very important if you're all looking for a solo pick off, especially if you have heroes like the Disruptor, the Lion, the Ruby, the Nyx. There's a lot of heroes that require that level 6, which their level 6 becomes very critical. So that outpost becomes really important. And yeah, I think overall, and kind of with the last patch, Dota is stepping back a bit, going back to its root. They have again gone back to the 50% EXP from the deny, which used to be around 30 or 35, and then they brought it to 40, and now they're back again to half the EXP from a deny. And now it does not give gold anymore like previously. It never gave gold, and they put the gold factor, and now it doesn't give gold again. It kind of affects the amount of farm that you might get. It's not massive, but I think it hurts the supports more than anything else, because normally if support with decent base damage, they want to get the denies in the lane, or at least they do try to get the denies in the lane. And on top of that, now you have something which is very new. It was not there in Dota before, which is heals under towers. So you have +3 region under tier 1 tower, and +1 region under tier 1 tower, and +3 under tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. So technically, basically like not as much as obviously a tango or anything, but it's still a region under tower, which might help the support. It's not a huge thing, but it does overall help the laning stage for sure. And they have gone back different small changes, like gloves of haste going back to the usual price, blades of attack, same story. Change little things in this last patch that came out, but yeah, very small changes, but I guess overall it does affect how you play the game. Especially they change movement speed percentages, which was introduced I think a couple of years back, where they changed movement speed into a percentage rather than a fixed value. They have gone back to it being a fixed value, so that is basically how things have been happening. So yeah, going into I just got the information. We have just started the game, so I'm just about to get into the drafting stage. Azman, do you have any idea what the meta is like? You've been out of it for so long. Do you have any idea what the meta is like?
Right now I'm actually don't have much of an idea what the meta is like. But anyway, I think I'll find out or get the grasp of it within the first initial few games and how strong. So we can see right now a few of the changes, and obviously one thing that I really can't go in too depth about is the fact that how they've changed the drafting picks and bans as well. So I think that is going to play a huge part in how the game kind of turns around. And usually we we do have someone who's very experienced, but today obviously he couldn't make it. But anyway, going into the initial picks right now, one of your favorites gets picked up very early here. So it's going to be the Rubik. So looking at the bands, it looks like Klinks, Pugna, Beastmaster, Lone Druid bands coming out from the G-Man, and it's a lot of pushing power that does come from the Klinks. The Pugna, really great burst damage and early game pressure that comes out from the Pugna, and just in general a very strong laner. Beastmaster obviously with his axes and having that very good level 6 ultimate always helps, and just having the information with the Hawk, unless they did change that also somewhere down the line. But anyway, Snapfire being picked up for the side of Death Sentence, so it's going to be very interesting. So I think I'll let you walk us through the rest of the picks, because you do have a lot more of an understanding when it comes to drafting right now.
The thing is, okay, I have also been out of it for some time, but I have been following a couple of matches that has been happening internationally, and of course the drafting phase was changed from the usual 3 bands to 4 bands. Now you get each team gets 4 bands, and looking at the bands that both teams have done, some of this being a couple of bands that are respect bands, especially Klinks. Klinks is actually a strong hero in the patch as well, and also one of Tensei Zengetsu's most basically one of his favorite heroes. So they have banned it out, and again picking up the Legion Commander. This is very key because Hockey likes to play this hero a lot. Even though he's not playing offlane, they can do it because the G-Men or the players on the side of G-Men are very versatile players. We have seen Shauban play support here. We have seen him play offlane. Same with Toad Boss and even Mirzab and Satan for that matter. These guys can change roles very well. So they do pick up the Legion Commander, another strong hero. What is open right now is Bristleback, who is another extremely strong hero in the patch. He has been in the pub scene. I don't know how he has been in the pro scene, but I have seen Bristleback in a couple of games in the pro scene as well, so might get picked up. And Void Spirit, of course, just so strong, especially in the hands of a really good Void Spirit player. It's a very skill-based hero. You need to be extremely good with mechanical skill to play that hero, and if you are, it's just a very, very strong hero. Very hard to catch, very elusive, and does have really good laning presence with that. What do you call? The stun, basically. I can't remember what the spell name is, but his first skill, as well as being able to dodge damage and the astral step to get out of fights. And again, you're talking about the Bristleback being very strong. The Beastmaster being very strong. The Beastmaster has been one of the heroes with a really good win rate in the pub scene as well, and at least in the ancient to divine bracket, and maybe even beyond that, he has been one of these favorite picks. And Pagna, another hero who was actually nerfed quite heavily. He has been getting nerfed in the previous patches little by little. It's just very strong, extremely hard to get lane against, and just suits that early fighting meta that is there in Dota right now, because you don't need a lot to fight with. You have insane amount of magic damage coming out with your Nether Blast as well as your Life Drain, and then you have your Nether Ward as well to stop anyone else from using spells. So it's a very, very, very versatile and very strong hero in the early game. Again, Lone Druid also, he was nerfed, but he's still a very strong hero. He wasn't nerfed too hard, but he is quite strong, and AB plays Lone Druid quite a bit. So does Tensei Zengetsu. So I feel like that's more of a respect ban than anything else. And of course, we do have the PnX side banning out TA. This is one of Mirzab's favorite heroes. Those of you who do not know Mirzab's past, he was very popular during when he came into Dota. He was very popular for his TA, Storm Spirit, and Puck. These and if I remember right, Tinker. Without Tinker, actually, Puck, PA, and Puck, TA, and the Storm Spirit. So these were his 3 go-to heroes, and his TA stood out the most. TA and Storm stood out the most, and his TA is just absolutely insane. He plays that hero so freaking well. It's just insane how he plays that hero. So probably a respect ban. I don't know whether he's a meta hero also, so I'm not entirely sure what that is, but they do ban out the Wyvern. I mean, everyone knows Hockey's Wyvern. Azman and I both had been very unfortunate to face his Wyvern multiple times in our careers. What do you say, Azman?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone up against the Wyvern multiple times, and it's never a very pleasant situation. But then there's just been that one very, very nice moment where it all came together for us and really worked out. So I think it's fine to just take the losses after that because it's just one of those cherished memories that we all share. Obviously, when it comes down to performance, because they were and still are right now currently very, very confidently in that number one spot here in Sri Lanka, and there's very little that many players can actually do, because to even go up against the experience that they have, because they're constantly playing the game and they're developing with the meta, and obviously having a cannon or someone as valuable as Hockey just to break the game down, and just has that intelligence to break apart the game and just give you that exact information that you need to get ahead. And right now, looking at the draft though, I think taking up Vyvern right now is just about just the fact that it's going to make it easier for them, just because of looking at the composition right now and the bans coming out from both these teams. But most of all is just the fact that you want to take out those comfort heroes that a lot of these players do play. But if you look at the combinations right now, it's Rubik, Ursa, and Snapfire Legion Commander. Snapfire Legion Commander obviously works really well, just because of the fact that Snapfire's ulti can deal a lot of damage during the duel, but it'll obviously come down to how well they coordinate. But with that, it's going to be a Phantom Lancer being picked up. So it'll come down to whether this PL can actually get a free lane. But right now, it seems like a pretty good game to actually pick up the Phantom Lancer, because they don't really have too much in terms of AoE that can kind of deal with the PL illusion, unless Rubik is able to steal Snapfire's ultimate and turn that around, or even maybe press the attack or something. Sorry, these overwhelming odds coming out from Legion Commander. But looks like there we have the answer. So it's going to be the Jakiro with that Macropire and Dual Breath. He's going to have a lot of work to put in to try and help control this PL. But if he gets out of control, it might be a little bit too late. So maybe we might see the answer coming out in the next two picks. So right now they've taken out the Terrorblade, they've taken out the Wyvern. So Terrorblade just being one of those very, very efficient carries in the game, just being able to use that illusion to clear out camps and just be able to have a very good presence in the game. Doesn't, even if you have a really bad laning stage, just because you can keep pushing out side lanes and pressuring the map and forcing reactions from the other team. So usually when it's in good hands, or in the hands of a very good player, it's usually a very, very strong pick. And just because of the fact that how things work, the Metamorphosis also works quite well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to round out their drafts right here. But Death Sentence right now, they have a pretty good draft, but even G-Man just balancing it out for the moment. So until everything kind of fixes itself, or until the whole picture is given for us to see, we really can't say where it's going to go. Right now they have the tools to kind of kite the Ursa as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they lane this, with the Ursa is going to be the safe lane, or they're going to put it in the off lane with the duo. But we do see Death Sentence picking up a Skyrath Mage here, which is a little
very interesting. This Tenza Zengetsu spec. This is going to be a mid Skyrath Mage. Tenza likes to play this quite a bit and works really well with the Legion Commander. And I feel like we are just, I don't know whether it's actually Tenza Zengetsu drafting or whether it's AB who's drafting, but it feels like the battle of two really good drafters, because I feel like picking the PL on the third pick, right? Like you need to pick up the Kunkka or maybe even an Ember Spirit or an Earthshaker. They can't pick the Earthshaker because they already went for Rubik, which is already a greedy position 4. You don't want an Earthshaker on top of that, which becomes a bit too greedy when it comes to supports. And then Kunkka is not that strong of a hero right now. You don't want to pick it up. And then you're forced to pick something like the Ember to deal with the PA. And picking the Ember again into a Legion Commander, Skyrath Mage, it's so risky. Like, I'm assuming it's going to be Paradox playing mid. He needs to be on the top of his game. It's not going to be easy to play Ember in a game where there is Snapfire, Legion Commander, Skyrath Mage. There's so much. You have the duel into Skyrath Mage Alt. You have the Skyrath Mage Silence. So it's going to be really tough for the Ember Spirit. But having said that, the G-Men have this 1-2 lineup, whereas Death Sentence are kind of farm dependent. You need some sort of farm on the Legion Commander. You need PL, of course, obviously needs a lot of farm. He cannot run these heroes. Ursa, Chokiro together early game. PL is not even a factor. So this PL is going to be a very hero which is not going to be that effective in the early game, especially with the team fight that G-Men is bringing out there during the early game. You have the Sand King, you have Chokiro, you have Ember Spirit. These are all very early game to mid game oriented heroes who can fight and can bring the fight to the PnX team. So definitely an interesting draft. I think I want to favor the G-Men here, but with this last pick also, I'm going with PnX for the draft for the time being. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think it will come down to who wins that initial first few team fights because, like you said, it is very team fight heavy, and obviously it's no fun whenever we are both on the same side. So I'm going to go with G-Man for this game. It's going to be interesting to see how they lane right now. So whether the Skyrath can pressure the Ember Spirit or whether because it's like this, right? Skyrath, I mean, in the initial stages, he can spam, he does do a decent amount of damage, but if you can get on top of the Skyrath mage, he's usually always a very very easy kill to get because he doesn't have too much HP to work with. So seeing whether he's actually going to pick up the bracers to use, get maybe a little bit of extra health, and how he's going to kind of execute that laning stage is going to be very important because end of the day you want to focus on CSing more than pressuring your enemy. I mean, if you can always get the kill, it's going to be nice, but it's going to be a while before that anyway. So obviously we're talking about someone who has played the matchup probably many times here. So it's going to be interesting though. But a lot will definitely ride on this Ember Spirit to put in a lot of work. And I think if he doesn't get the right items or the right farm, it's going to be very difficult to deal with the Necroforce as well as Phantom Lancer. I think Ember Spirit up against the Necroforce is going to be very happy with that matchup. But overall, I mean, he's the kind of pick that they're using right now to deal with the Phantom Lancer because Sand King can really assist during that early stage of the game where his epicenter actually does something. But later on in the stages, I think if this game goes more than 30-40 minutes, I think the game is definitely going to go the way of PnX Esports. So it's going to be interesting. I think it'll come down to how they execute their early game, mid game, the laning stage, and the initial early game fights. So right now it can be anyone's game, but if executed properly, very good chance for the side of PnX Esports to actually take the win.
Oh, wow, already already the chat wheels are coming out. Prepare for a lesson is the call from uh, Paradox and as well as Tenza retaliating with try harder. So let's take a look at who the two teams are right now. I'm just, free cam here to just take a look. Okay, so we do have on the side of the G-Men, we have Boss. Sorry, playing that offlane Sand King. I assume that's going to be an offlane Sand King. And we do have Shauban playing that position for Rubik. Hockey, obviously, playing position 5 here on Shakiro. We have Paradox or Mirza playing that mid spirit with. Actually, this is a change of pace because it's actually going to be Sagemeister playing the Ursa. Normally, this is the position 4 player for the G-Men, and it's normally Turbos or Shauban playing that safe lane. Either off lane or safe lane. But this is actually wait, this is. I'm so confused. Was Satan on the G-Men or was he on the PnX team?
Satan was actually on the G-Man side and
Okay,
doesn't
so
seem
that's
like he's
Satan actually playing Ursa. It's not
yeah.
Sagemeister.
So
Okay.
it's Sagemeister is sitting out of this game.
Okay. Makes a lot more sense now because I was wondering what how they're changed. Because Sagemeister is not a co-player. He has played for G-Men or rather this lineup forever, since I can remember. Anyhow, getting into the PnX team, this is going to be really hard to figure out who is playing what because I know Tenza is playing that offline Legion Commander. We have Local Burning playing his Phantom Lancer. But other than that, I'm actually not sure who is playing who here. So I'm assuming it is going to be.
We'll assume that AB is playing Chanel Daniel Tomb Raider on Necroforce. We'll assume.
Yeah, and we have I think Amrut or Amy Pai playing the Snapfire, and Tyrant Mage being played by Matrix. I think was his name. I think yeah. So yeah, definitely interesting. I'm not sure at all who is playing what on the side of PnX Esports here. So we do have the initial pause. I mean, the Sri Lankan Dota, you do have a couple of pauses here and there.
Does the 40-minute throw still apply, Tara?
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Sri Lankan matches to be sure, but I mean, I don't think it didn't change for for a good eight years that I was playing for. So I'm assuming it hasn't changed even in the last couple of years that I did not play for. And Yeah, wait a second.
Yeah, so anyway, with that, we do have all 10 players back in the lobby. So it'll just be a very, very few moments before we do get into the game. And I think obviously the something that we couldn't really touch on was the fact that how the neutral items are going to impact this game. And obviously, if you can pick up something that is going to benefit you in that early game to kind of just spike that farm that you really need, it's going to be really, really great. But I think overall, so even after the discussions that we had with Terra, we were talking about how there's certain key moments or key timings that coming out for each of these teams. So we'll wait and see whether it actually works out. Now, Legion Commander not really going for a lot of this region. So it looks like he's actually going to be a mid Legion Commander. Tenza Zangetsu is going to be going up against the Ember Spirit. It looks like he gets Shat Tango, unless I missed something here where it's the meta where the offlaner also gets full tangos. I mean, did I just miss the treat your offlaner well meta?
No, 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 no,
Is
no.
that what I'm
This
missing
is
here?
this is not how it works. But yeah, it is going to be a Legion mid with a Necro offlane most probably, and of course the PO safe lane, which is interesting because I feel like either way this matchup is good for the Legion or the Necro. Uh, it's not great for the Necro mid, but it is definitely decent enough for him to be able to lane. It's not a bad lane for him at all. But the Legion versus the Ember, I think it's a
30
bit Legion
seconds.
favored, especially due to his moment of courage. He's just going to be right clicking this Ember in the laning stage. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting. Let's take a look at this rune fight here. So we do have three heroes camping bottom for on the dash side, and on top side we do just have two heroes here. To be fair though, they do have two disablers to
Sound
go around.
strategy.
Shauban, if he does want to
Sound
go better in
strategy.
cases, he has that. We do have an impel on Sand King as well. So I don't think they are going to contest unless they want to use Cookie here. No, they do
God,
go
I really hope this
for
match
the
ends after
blast,
this
getting a little bit of damage done on here in the early stages. And meanwhile, the Ursa is actually getting run down a little bit, taking quite a bit of damage. He
This
just only have 3 tangos, so
transcends
might want to get a couple of
expectation.
tangos delivered to him. I mean, advantage of each and everyone having their individual couriers. So Tenza obviously not
For
getting
a
the
lesson.
block off here in the laning stage just because he did go for that rune. Meanwhile, we are looking at the top lane. We do have another pause. Um,
Probably something to do with his name. I think he's probably suffering with a little bit of 10 FPS Dota right there. But something typical that we do see from the Lankan scene, a lot of pauses, and each team is allocated a certain amount of time where they can pause. So anyway, looks like go when ready is the cause. So we'll be going into this laning phase action once again. So it's
Back
going
to
to
the
be the
indecipherable
Phantom Lancer
gibberish.
as well as the Snapfire going up against the Sand King as well as the Rubik. And looks
Well,
like
bottom lane,
we
we might
might.
actually see a kill. Bottom lane, they are going to go on the Necroforce here. Necroforce is one more right click away, and yes, that is going to be Hawk drawing that first blood. A very strong lane with that Ursa Warrior as well as the Shakira here, 12 breath as well as that Orb of Venom on the Ursa. Making sure that that is an easy pick, especially when the Necro is just level 1.
Yeah, so great pickoff coming out for them there, and I think this lane is going to be a little bit of struggle central here for the side of PnX Esports right now, already losing a very, very early kill, just about 1 minute and 5 seconds into the game, and the Ursa is going to have to start pushing out this lane, and the Skyrat needs to try and stop this pull coming in from the Jakiro, because there is a very, very nice stack of EXP heading the way of the Necroforce, and Skyrat even staying away and giving it all to the Necros would benefit the side of PnX Esports quite well, and you can see he's just trying to contest this pull right now. He's just hanging out in that area and just trying to mess with the Jakiro a little bit and make sure the wave pushes the way of the Necroforce, and that is exactly what he does, and that is exactly what you want to see from your support. And this Necroforce is very happy. Yeah, sure, he died in the first minute or so, but with this amount of EXP, he's going to be very close to level 3 once he's done. It's already 3 range creeps that he'll be picking up, so a lot of EXP already, and it's in a very safe area where he doesn't need to really worry about it. So you can see both them actually hitting level 2 at this point, which is going to give them more survivability and more chances to really survive in this lane. So it's a really great play coming out from the Skyrath mage, and usually small plays like that go a very long way into this game.
Yeah, for sure, because that was actually very well played by the Skyrim.
Nice try.
Trying to get a few creeps out of the Sekiro's pool, and the previous meta, like or the meta where we used to play, where we used to not push the lane, we try to keep the lane as stagnant as possible, has kind of changed, where the carry keeps on pushing the lane out and the supports try to keep on pulling put in the lane. That has kind of been the way that the game has been played now. It's not just keeping the lane stagnant. It's just making sure that the support as well as the core gets a bit of farm by doing that. But Skyrim is obviously stopping them. Meanwhile, they are trying to go on the Necrophos here on the bottom lane. He's going to be okay. I think one in this lane is just going to be really good. There is so much spam from the Necro as well as the Skyrat Mage. It's just going to be too good of an item not to get in this bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see something very interesting that I've seen from most of these players. The buckler is very important, it seems like, just being able to pick that up. And now the Ursa might be in a little bit of trouble. Needs to try and get out the start. The slows are there. Few more right clicks, and here comes the ball to finish it off. And it's going to be the Skyrat getting the kill onto the Ursa. Just getting a little bit too aggressive right there. That is going to be a great way to balance out this bot lane, and that EXP that he got from under the tower is always going to pay off. And now the Necrophos in a very good position to dominate this game.
Yeah, and meanwhile, things are not that good for Paradox on this mid lane. It's a very hard matchup for him. We knew this was going to happen. We have 2 levels into Moment of Courage, 2 levels into Press the Attack. I mean, you are going to put more levels into Moment of Courage in this lane just because you are going to be able to just contest the Ember Spirit really, really hard in the lanes. It's a very smart pick from the Dire side against the Ember mid. And on the top lane, we do see the TL also suffering quite a bit. But he is actually at least keeping even in terms of last hit to the Ursa Warrior. But he's obviously not getting as much as he would like. But meanwhile, Sand King, he's pretty happy in this lane. He's getting very, very, very good farm combined with this Rubik, who is getting a couple of pulls off as well. And yeah, they are going to be extremely happy in this lane stage. Of course, the pull was kind of spotted out with that ward there. So the Snapfire knows that this is happening and they will try to bring some people in. The PL does have a split lance, just a little bit out of range there.
Oh, Rubik might be in a little bit of trouble here. Looks like the Rubik is going to be able to make it out right there. So does take a decent amount of damage, at least manages to... doesn't really manage to stop the pull, but I think that PL will be happy enough to kind of just tank the damage right here and hold the lane here as much as possible, just keep a little bit of that equilibrium so he can farm a little bit safely. But like you said, Sand King having a very good time, the Legion having a very, very good time against the Ember Spirit. But Ember Spirit not doing as bad as you can see from the last hits and denies. He's still second on the last hit.
Meanwhile, top lane, we do see them going to go on the Snapfire. The Impel as well as the Telekinesis back into the Sandstorm and the Frosty Finale. Getting that kill onto the Snapfire. Easy cleanup there. So 2 kills to 1. Pretty slow game, to be honest, at the start. Meanwhile, actually, as I say, the bottom lane, we do see them going to go on work on the Necrophos. Necrophos does not have a Ghost Shroud, and he will get taken down with this combination of Shikiro as well as Skyra just left the lane to get the Bounty Rune, and the Necro pays with his life.
Yeah, definitely. And the Ursa is going to be able to salve up, stay in lane, and you know the Necrophos going down at this point is going to be very, very. There's been a lot of problems coming out in the future, but obviously it looks like that is the kind of plan they're going for. And now the Sapphire pressing down a sentry, trying to pressure the Sand King as much as possible. He does have the Sandstorm going, but so far the Sand King is having a very, very good time in this lane, and the Ursa also doing a really good job of this getting up there. So you can see him just overtaking the tier, getting a few last hits of himself, and just looking at
bottom lane. We actually might see another kill. They are trying to go to work on to the Necrophos. Necrophos falling down low. He's a couple of hits away. Slow from Skyrat Mage, keeping him alive. And yes, they do bring down the Necrophos. Ursa almost going down to the spam coming up from Skyrat Mage, but okay for the time. There's another kill going care of the Ursa Warrior, and that's Necro going down twice in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be very happy with that, and this is not something that you really expected happening too much out of this lane. I mean, it was quite even at the start of things, but right now you can see this bottle lane is slowly starting to become a little bit of a disaster for the side of PnX Esports. Let's see whether they'll be able to turn it around, and I don't think at this point in time there might be a little bit of trouble just going around in the communication side of things. Maybe he might be a little bit unhappy with the Skyrat or something like that, but now Ember and the Legion actually just trading a little bit of blows right there, and Legion doing a really good job right now with his Illusion Rune and just beating into the Ember Spirit, and Ember Spirit forced to jump to his Remnant.
Be careful here, he might get a duel off. Oh, 1 more second, and Mirza was paying attention there. He did manage to Remnant out of there, and that was 2 big creeps. two big neutral kills
Dire's
been taken
bottom
by
tower under
the
fire.
Legion commander. The Ember is not going to be happy, but he has actually been keeping up though. At
Dire's
least
top tower is under
he's
siege.
been doing okay for himself in terms of last year. He has caught up.
Oh, looks like they're actually going to try and get aggressive onto the Snapfire here. Snapfire trying to
Dire's
jump
top
out, but is
tower is
not going to be
being
able to make it.
attacked.
Beautiful impale into the Fate Ball coming in from Shauban. It's a
Killing
great teamwork
spree.
coming out from Topaz as well as Shauban. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, guess who goes down once again?
It is the Necrophos. Necrophos is definitely
Dire's middle
not happy
tower is
at
being
all
attacked.
here. Just dying like for the third time, I think, in a very short amount of time. Within 2 minutes time, he just did go down thrice in a row. In the meantime, that was due to the fact that the Skyrath mage actually rotated mid, trying to get a kill for this Legion commander. Legion commander wanted to get some dual wins off, but not being able to find for the time being. Mix up needs to be careful. If he gets 2 more hits, he would have gone for the duel. But obviously, Mirza, knowing his limits, keeping himself above that threshold that the Legion commander can kill. I mean, our top lane is definitely not going that well for the PL. He's getting
Radiant's
pushed by a
bottom
bit, and the
tower is
Snapfire
being
Oh, Necrophos in the bot lane. Necrophos in the bot
no,
lane.
it's okay. It's okay.
Radiant's bottom tower
Yeah,
under fire.
I mean, Necro is going to be a lot more careful on how he goes forward, especially now he does have that Ghost Shroud. All this time he didn't have the point in Ghost Shroud, so it's going to help him survive the right click that's coming out. But this Sekiro doing so much of damage. A level 3 liquid, what do you call, 12 breath. It's just insane amount of damage to the Necrophos there.
Yeah, actually, the Necrophos is suffering so much just because of how good this Jakiro is positioning himself. So you can see the neutral items just being pulled up right now. So even Jakiro is getting that trusty shovel. So hopefully he'll be able to dig him up some items. But with now in the top lane, it seems like the Sand King and Rubik are very, very ready to pressure
Dire's top
the
tower is
players
being
here.
attacked.
And right now, the only saving grace for the side of PnX Esports is going to be the Legion Commander. So how well is he going to make his rotations and get these kills? But meanwhile, in the bot lane, the Ursa with the ultimate, the dual breath is there as well, diving the Skyrath, and that is going to be a very easy kill. And now no Reaper Sight available still for the Necrophos, and a few tower hits coming in, but the Ursa is too fast, too furious, too hard to catch, and he's going to have to give up on that kill. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, looks like the Legion Commander is there as well at level 9, doesn't have a level in overwhelming odds right there, but he's going to have to back off. So another rotation being wasted this time. So that is not exactly what you want as a first rotation coming in from the Legion Commander, because right now Paradox is getting as much as he possibly can, pushing in the mid lane, trying to farm
This
up as
might
much
actually be a
kills
kill here. They are trying to go to for the duel here. Does he go? Yes, he does go for the duel, but is there a stick right? Is going to be there? Is it going to be enough? And yes, that is going to be a duel win for the Legion Commander. Very well played. The Skyrim died, he immediately came mid, and the Legion Commander played it extremely well, held on to his duel until the Skyrim mage did show himself, so that it gives him enough and more time to get a few more right clicks in before he goes for
Dire's top tower
the
is
duel,
under
ensuring that he
siege.
does get the duel damage. So that's the first duel kill for him, sitting at 10 damage. Managing to get himself on the board, 2 kills to 8, a 4k net worth lead going in favor of the G-Man at the time. This is quite significant. 4k is not a small amount of so the laning set definitely going very well. And meanwhile, another kill for Satan on the bottom lane onto the Necrophos. Necrophos is not coming down. That's a second flat steep in bottom. He is going to go after the Ursa Warrior. He does have another duel ready, but the Jaguar will be there. He tries to slow them down with the dual breath, but Legion is just a little bit too slow. He dodges the ice path. We do have the MSI coming in. He's not going to be able to get a duel on anyone there. And we do see the Rubik putting his hands on that pressy attack. Is going to keep anyone who does get duel safe. Meanwhile, I feel like the G-Men are playing really well here. They are pressuring the right lanes. They're avoiding fights that they cannot take, and they know just the exact amount that they need to pressure. This is what I was worried about for the drop on the side of PnX here, just because of the early pressure that G-Men run at you, and they have been able to do that. And Mirza, having played that unfavorable matchup mid, not as far behind as double damage stacks, and he's actually the highest in terms of last 2 sets.
Yeah, definitely. And Legion Commander right there, just picking up a double damage rune. So
Dire's top
Ember,
tower is
I mean
under siege.
Mirzab right there, just kind of realizing the fact that okay, it's a double damage rune. I probably shouldn't be messing with that. And like you mentioned, he's doing a very good job of just pushing out the lane and getting as much farm as he possibly can. And he's now comfortably sitting at that number one spot.
They are looking for someone. They are looking for the Sand King. Actually, Sand King, I think, feeling that something might be wrong here, goes and hides himself in the jungle for in the tree line, at least for the time being. PL showing himself, breaking that smoke. Uh, this is the smoke that any of the teams have used and doesn't really get anything done out of it, and they will back off. This is a really good time for the Ember Spirit. Free farm. We do have free farm being Ursa. The Jakiro and the Rubik has been given a lane to just get a few
Dire's bottom
EXP
tower
and
is being
after
attacked.
that liquefies as well. Things are not looking great for sure for the side
Dire's
of PnX.
bottom
It's now
tower
up to
under
16 lead.
Dire have
Closing
fortified
on
their
that tier
towers.
2 items. What do we have in terms of natural items?
So far we've seen the keen update, we saw Poor Man's Shield, we saw the shovel being picked up, and we did see a brooch being picked up by Paradox, I believe. But right now, I mean, it's struggle central, like you said, for PnX Esports. There's not much that they can really do. The Ursa is
Radiant's
doing
middle
really well in
tower is
terms of
being
where he
attacked.
is. He's almost done with his basher, so once he picks that up, he's going to be even more threatening. And like what PnX Esports needed to do was try to get more dual damage or try to get more use out of the Legion Commander from Tensor Zangetsu, and that's why they smoked up. But they weren't able to really execute anything there. And really good game sense coming out from Toadboss on his Sand King to just kind of get out of dodge, make sure he's in a safe position, and avoid the ganks coming in. So Soldering is already completed for.
Jakiro might be in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to be there with the press attack there. He's looking forward, and the Legion Commander is going to get cliffed on a cliff, and he is going to get magnified up. He's taking a lot of damage. He's trying to press attack and self-standing, but the enemies will come in as well here. But and now we do have the Snapfire with his ultimate trying to back everyone off. Legion Commander falling down so low here, and he will in the end get taken down. Meanwhile, they are going to work on the Skyrim Mage as well. The Empress will jumping in, and Rubik, Solan ultimate here, trying to get the Snapfire and will cleaning up as well. What play from the Rubik as well as the Jakiro there. They just won the team fight hands down.
They call GG. Tensor just called GG and disconnected from the game. So looks
Wow.
like game number one is going to go the way of Jimin.
Wow, I was not expecting that, but I feel like that was the case just because of the fact that they picked certain heroes just to be strong in the laning stage, and it didn't give the outcome that they were expecting. They put the Legion Command up against the Ember. They didn't manage to shut down the Ember as much as they thought, and they didn't get enough dual damage on the Legion, and the PL was also not having a decent lane. It just turned. It was just going downfall, and with the network lead that G-Men had at that point, they could have just run over the PnX side completely. So I feel like maybe they could have held on. Maybe G-Men would have made a mistake where the side of PnX would have been able to come back, which is very unlikely. This is not an average team that you're playing up against. It's a very experienced team. The side of G-Men they are not going to make silly mistakes where they will throw the game, unless of course it goes to 40 minutes. But the way that they were going, it didn't look like it will get dragged on to 40 minutes. So in the end, a very convincing game number one coming out from G-Men. They play the lane well, especially I need to mention Paradox in that lane. I did not think he will perform as well as he did in that lane. It was a very hard matchup for him up against that Legion Commander, but he played that lane to perfection, and he managed to keep up with the Legion Commander in terms of farm. That he was doing, he was stacking both the neutral camps on either side. He was clearing out the stacks, and he knew exactly the threshold that he needs to keep his HP at, so that he does not get killed for the duel. He was caught out by surprise once, and that was about it the entire game. So hats off to Jimin for a very convincing game number one.
Yeah, definitely. So very, very convincing game number one. They're coming out from the G-Men. So let's see whether they can close it out in game number two and crown themselves the champions here for the Samsung Online Esports Showdown for the title of Dota 2, obviously. And right now they're looking very, very strong. Really great coordination. And I think the needle on the head was just the fact that he got cliffed, and he was the only champion that or only hero that really had anything going for him in terms of bot lane was just feeding. I mean, there was like 4-5 kills that just went with the Ursa. Ursa was really strong. He was getting his he was getting his basher in like just a few seconds or a few kills, and obviously the Ember Spirit, who was being pressured in the lane, was the highest in terms of the CS, because he was really keeping his distance really well from the Legion commander, using those remnants really well to kind of space himself, distance himself, and play the game really well. And top lane obviously was a complete stomp, and there was really nothing that the PL could do to kind of assist them at all. I mean, there was no way, even if he comes in, there isn't anything that's really going to happen. Snapfire tried to use the ult, but paid no dividends in terms of how they wanted to work out. But then the Rubik stole it and then turned it around, and obviously just getting clipped. Overall, it tends to piss players off, and that is not something that you really want happening to you. And especially if you're after doing so much in the game, where the rest of your team is just kind of not doing exactly what they needed to do. So the Nekfos died multiple times. I think he died at least 5 times in the lane, which is never the perfect scenario, obviously, but in a lane where it's the Ursa, Jakiro, I think it's very, very difficult to deal with, and maybe they might want to think of just taking out the Jakiro in general, because Jakiro in general seems to be very, very strong in terms of lane pressure and just securing a lot of last hits and playtime for just last hits and safety for the carry on the side on the side that Jakiro is on. So great stuff anyway coming on from the G-Men right now. So they have managed to get 1 point over in this best of 3. So they have one more game that they need to win. But let's see whether PnX Solan Esports can turn it around and take game number 2 under their belt. So they're usually not the kind of lot to kind of give up the game and just let it go. They're going to be obviously kind of going through what they did wrong and seeing how they can change things to kind of make sure that they give a really good fight and close the, like maybe even force a game number 3 during match number 2. But it's going to be interesting to see whether that's actually going to happen or not. But so far, great stuff coming out from both teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how this grand final is going to conclude coming into this series.
Yeah, for sure. So another thing that I did want to mention is that the draft that PnX came out with, it had to go to perfection, and I feel like they drafted too much around the Legion commander, and that kind of why when they realized that they didn't get what they wanted to from the Legion commander, that they called GG. And if you see, all the heroes that were drafted was to help the Legion commander win a duel. You have the Skydoth Mage, you have the Snapfire, you have Necroforce. These are all heroes that can instantly kill a target and get that duel damage on the Legion commander. And you put the Legion commander up against the Ember Spirit, you expect him to do extremely well, which he did though. But the problem was, so did the Ember. They didn't expect the Ember to be even with that Legion commander during the laning stage. So kind of a sad situation in the end for PnX Esports. Plans didn't go accordingly, and I feel like later on when I thought about it, that it was a bit greedy, because they do have Snapfire and Skydoth Mage. Both need farm. They are very technically they throw their ultimates and think that your job is done, but there are heroes that need a certain amount of farm to be effective in the game. And then you have a PL who is very late game oriented. He does nothing during the early game, and then you have a Necroforce again who is strong during the mid game. Don't get me wrong, he's very strong during the mid game, but he needs a certain amount of laning presence to be able to translate into the mid game post that 10 to 12 minute mark. To be viable, he needs a decent laning stage, and not having any disables really hurt them during the fights that did actually happen, because they don't have any catch. The only catch they're looking at is the Legion Commander duel and maybe the slow from Skydoth Mage and Cookie, which is very unreliable in terms of catching up to someone. So they didn't really have the synergy to maybe go at the side of G-Men, just because they didn't have the disables to back it up. So in the end, very convincing game, but we will be back after a very short break. Do stay tuned in. This is the grand finals of DOTA 2. It is the G-Men taking on PnX Esports. We will be right back.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Samsung Online Esports Showdown, where we just concluded game number 1 in this best of 3 grand finals for Dota 2. And so far, G-Man looking very, very, very confident in taking this whole series right now with a really well executed plan going into that early game, just dominating throughout the laning stage. There was really nothing that they could do. And in terms of even saying which lane was kind of struggling, it was only just the Ember Spirits lane, but the Sand King, Rubik doing their thing, and the Jakiro and Ursa just destroying their safe lane as if they were just hitting creeps in the bot lane. But end of the day, it seems like there is going to have to be a very, very big change coming out from the side of PnX Esports if they really want to really contest the side of G-Men coming into these grand finals. And right now, maybe the momentum as well as maybe even a little bit of communication breakdown. Even the team might be in a little bit of shambles, just reading into the way that they were playing. I mean, usually teams do have certain breakdowns. There's always, especially when it's a newly formed team, and you can tell that this team has been kind of formed maybe just for this tournament, and they haven't been playing for too long, so they don't understand how each other works. So it seems like there might be a little bit of rage going on. It's the usual thing when it comes to Dota 2. So let's see if they can overcome that and kind of just fix the issue that they need to fix. Maybe go for a bit more control, maybe more early game oriented heroes with a little bit of balance for mid and late game, or maybe just in general just try to win their lanes and then go from there. What do you think they should do in this game number 2 to make sure that game number 1 is not repeated here?
I think they try not to cheese it. I think they try to cheese Kadev with those picks that they went for, especially the Legion Commander mid, and then trying to combine it with a Skyrath Mage Necro. I think they were trying to do a little bit of cheese there, trying to counter the usual heroes that the G-Men play. But I think they just should play the usual meta, play what they're comfortable with, and try not to cheese through a game, just because of the fact that G-Men are not a team that can get cheesed easily. Of course, not to say that they cannot be. They have been previously. We have seen the likes of Tenzas and Getsuebi and then pick off the squad on the side of G-Men. They have beaten them before, and these two teams have players who have gone head to head over the last so many years. So these guys know each other perfectly well, and it's just going to be a matchup of skill. And I think I need to mention that Paradox lane, actually he did not lose that lane. He actually won that lane just because of the fact that he was able to break even with the Legion Commander, which he should have been doing, which is really good for the Ember Spirit. And it just goes to show that he is the best mid player in the country. I think everyone would agree. I think he is immortal rank 900 something right now in the Southeast Asian region. It's such a he's such a high skill player. It's just very hard to match up against in mid, I think. And for me personally, over the years, I feel like I have laned against the likes of Tensor Sengetsu, Satan, Paradox during our matches. And for me, I am dead scared of Paradox and Mokshit. These are both very aggro players. These guys are extremely aggressive. They know exactly how much to push to get a kill. And even Tenza, right? Just because Mirza was playing well, he didn't blindly duel as well. He knew exactly the threshold that the Ember needed to be at for him to be able to get a duel kill alone. And Mirza also in turn knew the HP level that he needs to keep so that he does not die to a solo duel. Both these players knew exactly how that matchup was going to work, and they played extremely well. And then again, you have the likes of Satan, who was playing that safe lane role on the Ursa. Probably one of the best co-players in the country for sure, hands down. He has been playing probably as long as Mirza and Tenzas Zengetsu as well. And it just goes to show how much they know their heroes in and out, because it's very important. You play a certain hero for extended periods of time, or you play Dota for an extended period of time where you play multiple heroes for a very long time. You know exactly how much to push that hero, and how certain matchups work. I think this is where a lot of newer players find Dota hard, just because there's so much to learn, and if you are not experienced, you need to think about the game. So some people play with experience. They have played that matchup previously, or they have played so many games previously, or they have played that hero so many times. They know exactly how to play the matchup, or they have been in that previous situation before. and I'm someone who plays like that. I don't really think about it. I see certain situations, I know from experience this is what might happen or this is what I might need to do. I don't really think about it. And then there are people like Viren, who has the experience to back it up, as well as goes in depth into the statistics behind the game as well. He knows the damage behind, or the magical amplification, or what amount of damage that needs to be done to a certain creep to have been killed under tower. You know, the certain things that you actually go into. And there are players on both teams. You have AB, who has gone into in depth into the game as well. In terms of damage of the hero, magical resistance, and all this stuff. It's not just their experience talking. This is why these players are so very good at the game right now, and probably hands down the top. I think in the country right now, if you take the top 10 players, the top 6 to 7 are in these two teams. You have basically the cream of Sri Lankan Dota in these two teams right now. So I feel like PnX esports can come back into the game. They just need to work on it. Maybe just play to their comfort and try to beat the G-Men at their own game. G-Men right now, they're very confident. This might be their downfall as well. They are a team that tends to get overconfident. We have seen in the past where they do get a bit lenient, and they do get a bit overconfident, and they have lost games. They have almost lost games against certain other teams as well. I remember back in SSCG 2013 or 14, they almost lost again. It was just their throne surviving, and they purely won just out of experience at that point, because the team that was about to beat them did not have as much experience. And that was a very intense match, because it was a very new team that was actually taking the fight to Tekade, or what they were called at that time. And Tekade looked to be untouchable at the time, and they actually really took it to them. It was just the throne surviving, and these guys managed to come back just because of experience. So they do get overconfident. And I think PnX can use it to their advantage, because right now G-Men are one game up, which is going to they are safe. They can afford to lose a game and maybe go into the next game. Obviously they want to close it out in 2 games, but they do have a little bit of leeway to just play around, because they do have 1 game under their belt. But yeah, going into the drafting stage again, 4 bans, Osman.
Yeah, so far we've gone into 4 bans already, so nothing too different actually happening. So G-Men already taking out that Lone Druid as well as the Clinks, and meantime Death Sentence bringing out the Void Spirit and the Queen of Pain. So the usual standard bans, so we'll have to wait and see until they do get the rest of the they have to wait until they get the rest of the bans out, and once they do that, then obviously we'll know exactly what sort of plan that they're going for. Once again, we do see the G-Men taking out Pagna, because they want to remove that or alleviate most of that early game pressure, or just the fact that Pagna is very difficult to deal with in general, even though he, like you have mentioned, he has gotten nerfed throughout these patches over and over again. So until we do see the initial picks, it's very difficult to see. But my question is, are they going to be able to pick up something that is going to be able to allow them to kind of deal with the Jakiro? Because Jakiro right now, it just seems like a very strong pick overall, and just has a lot of laning dominance. And with the fact that you can get a lot of EXP yourself by just pulling and then killing the neutral creeps and making sure that your carry is pushing the lane, like you have mentioned, and just getting that EXP is always going to play a huge part in this game, because you can see how the Necrophos really struggle, just because of the fact that it's either he has an Ursa beating into him with Fury Strikes, the Fury Swipe stacks, or you activate your the Ghost Shroud and you take extra damage from the Jakiro's Liquid Fire as well as Dual Breath, and it really hurts at level 3. I mean, we saw the damage that was coming out. So once again, the standard bans is going to be the PL this time actually gets taken out by Death Sentence instead of I believe it was the Oracle last time. They banned the Oracle, but they put the PL and they've removed I believe it was one of the TA. They've actually just removed they're okay with giving the TA, it looks like. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. But once again, the G-Men going with that 2 picks. So now the first 2 picks on the side of Death Sentence. What are they going to go for? They're going to go for the Lich this time. Very interesting pick once again. So right now, just a little bit of control, but really during the laning stage, not much in terms of pressure. Really able to they don't really get too much to apply in terms of pressure. The Lich just needs at least level 3 until he gets a few more levels into his abilities. They take up the Ursa this time on the side of Death Sentence. So let's see how they really utilize that, whether they can turn the table around on the G-Men. But looking at the changes so far, they removed the TA, they banned the PL. What do you think Death Sentence is going for right now against G-Men here?
I think Death Sentence are trying to play the same game that G-Man played
10
previously,
seconds
trying to
to
play a very
pick.
fast-paced game, picking up that Ursa in combination with the Lich. I think it
5
works
seconds
almost the
remain.
same way that the Jakiro works with Ursa. Obviously not as strong, but it makes kind of makes sure that the Ursa is a lot more tankier, well as you have very strong ultimate in terms of chain frost. And the G-Men, they do go with the puck, and this is a hero that can be played off lane, support, as well as mid. And I feel like he was played a lot more, if I remember right, in the
Only
matchup
10
that I've been watching
seconds.
a lot more as opposed to before. But I'm looking at a core puck, if I'm
5
not mistaken,
seconds.
just playing
Hurry,
for the Shaban.
hurry.
Normally plays 4, and Rubik is kind of one of his favorite heroes, and he will be looking to play that position for Rubik instead of the puck. So I'm assuming this puck is going to be a core puck. And waiting for the last two bands, going actually one more band and then the next picking stage. Uh, Drafting stage has changed so much over the years. They keep changing it. It used to be 2 bands, now it used to be 3 bands, and now it has gone to 4 bands. I feel like they are trying to stop people picking very very strong heroes a lot, and it makes the game a lot more interesting. I mean, you have 8 bands going into the game altogether, 4 on each
It
side.
also
So
it also stops players from having just like a few heroes under their belt, or what we would
exactly.
like to call hero puddles.
Yeah, hero puddles for sure, because I mean you have 8 bands to work with, and it just stops people from abusing the meta too much. I mean, you do still have very strong heroes, but abusing the meta is kind of reduced quite a bit with having 8 bands altogether during that first stage. The number of bands altogether has not changed. It's just that initial stage itself has 4 each, making it 8. And just give me a second.
Yeah, so once again, this time we do see G-Men taking a lot of time deciding what they want to ban next here. I think they're trying to kind of estimate and guess what Death Sentence are trying to go for, what they need, or what they need to remove right here for their strat to work. So usually at this point in the game, Death Sentence, they do have their next ban right after this. So usually we do see them remove the Winter Wyvern, make sure that Hockey doesn't get one of his signature heroes. But I think, at this point, even getting the Jakiro is not too bad because of the fact that the dual breath and the ice path is going to help a lot against the Ursa, just to give it control. And once you do get those talents,
Radiant's
even though they
bad.
have been nerfed quite significantly, we'll have to wait and see how that kind of really plays out into the game, and whether we even get to that point in the game in general. So they actually decide to take the Earthshaker here, and I think Earthshaker always is going to be one of those very good heroes just to pick up, because you have the Fissure, you have the Enchant Totem, you have the Echo Slam, you have so many stuns, and if you are not aware of his positioning at all times, it puts a lot of pressure on these teams.
Radiant
It makes
team are
them
now picking.
kind of spread out, and sometimes that is exactly what you want as a unit, as a team. Just be able to pick off individual units one by one, and then because it makes it easier to focus down the target that you want to go for. But right now they actually removed the Slark very interestingly, so it's actually one of your signature heroes that gets removed here, Terra. So it's going to be very difficult to kind of
10
plan
seconds
out
to
and
pick.
think what Death Sentence is going to go for here.
I mean,
5
I feel like the
seconds.
Slark
Hurry,
was removed just because
hurry.
the Earthshaker was banned from the side of G-Man, and Satan loves to play this hero. He is probably one of the best Slark players in the country. And then on top of that, we have Earthshaker at the position for being really strong. There are certain heroes in the game that technically doesn't go out of meta, I would say, uh,
Dire team
which have been
pick.
strong throughout the history of Dota. Like you have the likes of Jakiro, you have Patch Rider, you have Earthshaker. These heroes don't really go out of meta as such. I mean, you do see them in a tournament at least once or twice, and these heroes don't just go out of fashion just like that. And Earthshaker is one of those heroes. He's a very strong hero, regardless of whatever patch that you play. That hero is strong.
Only
Gives
10
insane
seconds.
control,
Radiant team are
insane
now
team
picking.
fight, and one of
Winter
Slug's worst
Wyvern.
enemies just because of that chain
There
stun
we
that you
go.
can do. And we do have the Wyvern on the side. You know what? I'm just going to go with G-Man just because Hockey gets his Wyvern. You do not give this man his Wyvern Oracle. He's just way too good with both heroes.
Dire team
And they
pick.
do go with the axe.
Axe.
Kind of helps to maybe cull through that cold embrace. Yeah, cold embrace. And something that Detish mentioned. Thank you for pointing it out. Actually, it's not Shauban playing for G-Man. It's actually Sage Meister. but they actually swapped it out for game number 2. And again, it doesn't really change anything because Sagemeister also plays
10
Rubik a lot.
seconds
I
to
remember him playing Rubik, if I'm not mistaken. So I still think this is a co-park and
5
not a
seconds
question
remain.
four-park. And oh
Radiant's
wow,
bad.
okay.
Templar assassin.
They
Okay.
they
So,
give they give
okay.
Mirza TA. Mirza picks up the TA. I mean, he could have played Puck also. His Puck is also still strong, but Mirza on TA, Hockey on Y1. How do they even lose this game? This this is looking already pretty bad for Dead Center just because these two players are
Only 10
so
seconds.
good on these two heroes. It's just insane. We are up.
5
We are in
seconds
for a treat if Dead Sentence or rather PnX Esports can match this lineup on the side of Team, and if they can match the lineup, if they can take it to the TA and the Y1 during the especially the TA during the early laning stage, we would have a game in our hands. But you give this TA a little bit of a head start, that's just game over. This TA
Yeah,
is
I'm
just
just
going to
looking like
run
other than
points.
Battle Hunger right now, there isn't really much that they can really use to remove the refractions. And Axe, you usually want him to be that front line, and I think you would want him to get that Blink Dagger Blade Mail, jump onto the TA. But you have Cold Embrace, you have
Rise bad.
Winter's Curse. There's so much you can use to deal with the engagement coming in. So if they don't have BKBs, I mean, I can see okay. So for example, we see the Axe jumps in with the call, and sure the next can follow up because he has his Vendetta. But then in the moment the Winter's Curse is applied, the Nick starts hitting the Axe, and if Versa wants to jump in, he also can't really do much against because he'll be targeting the Axe. So unless they get BKBs or something that gives them some sort of magic immunity, there
10
isn't really much
seconds
that
to
they can
pick.
do. So they'll have to pick off the Templar Assassin if anything. But as long as the Wyvern is
5
anywhere
seconds.
close
Hurry,
by,
hurry.
it's always going to put a dent in their plans. The only person who can at least do something from range is Glitch. That's only if he gets the
Dire team
those
are now
favorable
picking.
bounces, the RNG bounces between two of these heroes. But so far, I think really nothing much to say. Looking at the draft right now, it's looks like very much going the way of G-Men, if I do say so myself.
The thing is, it's going to be interesting, right? But just because of the fact that Axe and Neeks in a laning stage is very strong together. You have the Battle Hunger, you have the
Only
Impel,
10
you can
seconds.
just run at the heroes because then now they don't have like a tanky core like in the
5
certain lane,
seconds. Hurry,
and
hurry.
they don't really have cores that can lane up against this Axe and Neeks. I feel like you need to. I mean, Stark would have been a decent pick. The Ursa would have been decent. The Red King would have been really good just because it suits so well with the G-Men lineup, and they have banned it out. So they do go.
Radiant's turret wall is
I
clear.
actually forgot about
Monkey
this.
King.
So they do go with the Monkey King, which is a really good pick in my opinion. And again, Heshan plays his hero really well, and against the Ursa and the Nyx, he's not going to be too worried because I mean, you do have the Wyvern to back you up. He's definitely not going to be that worried going up into this matchup. It's a bit of an even matchup rather than being a
10
one-sided matchup with
seconds
the
to pick.
accent with a very strong combination. And I was right. It's going to be the
5
Puck offense, so it's
seconds
going to be
remain.
Minta playing that offense Puck. We have the Rubik being played by Sagemeister. We have Mirza playing his signature TA. We have Hockey playing his signature Wyvern, and we have Heshan on his Monkey King, waiting for the last pick on the side of PnX Esports. They're looking for their mid hero. They need someone to be able to put that pressure on the TA as well as go well with the draft as well. And right now we are looking at. I mean, DK has been a pick that you go for, but majority of the time it's been offlane. It is okay. It cannot be busted down by any of these heroes on the side of G-Man. But having said that, he doesn't burst anyone down as well. But does make their lineup a lot more tanky. Is going to give that extra tower push with the DK form, which they don't have right now because the centers do not have any sort of tower push right now, which they need. I mean, a lineup isn't complete with someone to be able to push a tower. And DK might be a reasonable pick here. They do have.
I mean, if they really wanted, they could always just to pull out a Jakiro mid because Jakiro does really well against.
Oh
DK,
yeah,
and also,
I don't remember this.
so it also does really good, and it also fits the criteria because right now Death Sentence really doesn't have anyone that can really push down these towers. So other than that, of course, what really deals with the TA and also does do a decent amount against the lineup for G-Men because Macfire takes down a lot of the trees as well, so you can make a play to kind of bring down Monkey King. You have control with Ice Path, but looks like they are going to go with the Death Prophet. So it does fill in the criteria for pushing and getting those towers, but it is very cooldown based, because you have to wait for the ultimate from Death Prophet do come up for obviously make use of it. But right now I feel like in terms of lockdown, they have the gaze, they have the stun from the Nyx, but it's always going to be a skill shot, and it's not very easy to land against pucks, because they do have so much evasive capabilities. And Paradox is also on that TA, so he's going to be having a pretty decent time against the Death Prophet, but we'll have to wait and see on the execution. But given if anything from that previous game was an indicator, I think he'll be perfectly fine in his lane. Monkey King, how the Axe is going to survive the Monkey King lane is going to be very, very interesting. Whether the Nyx and Axe can actually put pressure on this Wyvern Monkey King lane, because as I'm saying it from my mouth, like if I was the Axe, I'd be afraid. Like, you have
It's a
the
tough lane.
health based percentage damage from Wyvern's Q, and then you have Monkey King who gets four stacks on you, and then just suddenly gets like twice or thrice the damage and uses a Q, uses a boundless strike, and you lose majority of your HP, and there's really not much that your Nyx can do. I mean, he can try to carapace it, but the Axe still takes the damage, so it's going to be very interesting to see. But right now, it's going to be. I think everything comes down to execution.
Usual all chat going on. I mean, all chat in the sense chat wheels going on. Not a lot of trash talk in terms. Of course, Mirza, they'll never see your grave is the call from him. You were talking about the matchup between the Death Prophet and the T. I think it's very even. Just because DP does actually have a way of dealing with the TA mid with his Spirit Siphon, which lasts for 6 seconds and which does tick damage on to the TA, is what I assume. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think if I'm right, that becomes an even matchup just because of that. And also, even though the lineup on the side of the G-Men looks like they're in their most comfort zone there, like, I mean, you have the TA, you have the Y1, like it's as comfortable as they can get in terms of picks. I'm a bit worried for them just because of the very fast-paced lineup that we are looking for on the side of the PnX Esports. Only thing that they need to be worried about is, like you mentioned, the top lane is going to be rough for them, just because of the amount of damage that they can do. Already, the rune going to get stolen. No, actually, the rune gets stolen by the Nyx here with that Impel, and the Battle Hunger goes on to the Monkey King, keeping him at bay for the time being. So the Nyx is going to be okay. So it's going to be a trade of bounty runes. Yep, it is going to get traded. The other bounty rune wasn't taken by anyone, which is strange on the side of PnX there. But yeah, in terms of laning, I feel like both these, I mean, bottom lane is going to be reasonably even. Obviously, both teams are going to be harassing each other quite a bit. We have Toad Boss going to be harassing the Ursa, while the Lich is going to be working on the Rubik. I mean, usual laning stuff. I feel like that lane is just going to be a bit even. Top lane is actually interesting because as the Axe gets levels, this Monkey King's boundless strike damage is not going to matter too much, especially with the Nyx to back him up with that Impel. Battle Hunger does way too much damage, and the heal from just the Jink is not going to be enough, especially because the Axe is going to be spinning in circles as well. And then you have to call to negate some of the physical damage that is going to be coming out from that boundless, as well as the Jingo Mastery stacks that the Monkey King would have. So yeah, I feel like it's going to get even once the Axe gets a few levels into lane.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be very interesting to come down to execution and how this Nyx really supports the Axe. Because right now we don't see too much from the Wyvern. We see him just trying to pull, and the Nyx is just doing his best to kind of mess with that Sid pull. And I think that's definitely what they need to do right now. But the bot lane, because it is 2 range against an Ursa as well as Lich, and Lich doesn't do a really great job of trading in general, because the right clicks don't do much in terms of damage, but it's like a truck. And then you have Fate Ball, which reduces your physical damage even more. You can see the damage coming up. But now Sage might be in a little bit of trouble.
That's salve, but no, it's not going to be enough. And he will go down. And meanwhile, they are going to go on to the Ursa as well. One more right click, not going to be enough. And he is going to be able to get away. But wow, what? That puck does so much damage. It's just insane. 62 damage right now per right click. It's just absolutely insane. And yeah, and so I was wrong about how the interaction between the Spirit Siphon and the Refraction. and it still makes it's still okay for the Death Prophet in my opinion. Keeps the TA in check in the lane stage. He can the DP cannot be bursted down by the TA at any point just because he is going to have that Spirit Cipher. But in terms of last hitting, I feel like both are going to have a pretty decent time in terms of laning in this mid lane.
So in the bot lane, meanwhile, great pull coming out from Sage Meister, denied a decent amount of EXP to the Ursa, gets a nice trade off. The Lich was really committed in trying to bring down this Puck, but the Puck just regening up quite a bit with the Ironwood branch as well as the Tangos just being a very, very big factor. And you can see them just taking away a lot of this the ability for the Ursa to just get that CS, and you can see right now in the mid lane as well, Tenza doing a really good job of pressuring Paradox here, and he seems to be struggling a little bit, but he should be getting his regen or items delivered very soon. And now the Ursa trying to secure those range creeps, very, very important obviously, and the Lich needs to be very careful because he can get bursted down. The Spade Bolt is currently level 2, and there's a level 2 Waning Rift as well as the level 2 orb coming in from the Puck, which does a decent amount of damage here, and they're looking for the go right now. The Fade Bolt was utilized, so now there is a chance for the Ursa and the Lich to kind of turn it around, because now they should know by now that Rubik does not have a lot of mana on him, so bot lane is going to be very, very quiet in the meantime, and Ursa is going to have to take and absorb a lot of this damage. But how are things going in the other lanes right now in terms of
I mean, top lane, we do see the Axe trying to cut waves there. We do see the Monkey going up in the Axe. Axe gets bounded, struck up, but he's so tanky right now. He isn't dying, but is there rotation coming? But this is a massive creep wave that is being pulled. They are trying to chase him. He's going to try and deny himself for the tower, and yes, he is going to be able to get himself killed. I mean, bottom lane, they do bring down the Rubica and maybe the Puck as well. That is the Ursa Warrior getting a double kill on the bottom lane. And meanwhile, top lane, we do see a courier going down, and in the meantime, we did see another solo kill. So many things happening on the map. The Death Prophet actually got a solo kill onto the TA in the mid lane, which was just because of the fact that the Death Prophet actually got in a couple of mangoes earlier, so he was able to keep on spamming that Split Link as well as his Crypt Swarm, and he just tends to just zone the TA out of this lane. So it's a very DP favored matchup right now. The TA
bot lane
jungle, and I mean, 5-minute bounty runes uncontested on either side. They actually it's actually going to be yeah, it is going to be PnX picking up 3 bounties to the one on the side of G-Men. But yep, this game is much more different from what we saw before. We do see the PnX squad here putting up a fight and putting the pressure on the side of G-Men here.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that this is something that's completely different, but we did see signs of life coming in from, oh, the Axe might be in a little bit of trouble right now. The Monkey jumping in, does have level 6 here, does have the leap if he wants to try and catch the Axe, and he is going to be able to do so. A few more hits, the Battle Hunger is there, does get the stacks, and there's the Jingle proc, and that is going to be a solo kill on.
Oh no, the TA goes down again. The TA goes down again to the combination. The game was paused by the Ursa, but in the meantime, we did see another kill onto the TA. The Death Prophet ultimate being committed, and they might try to push this tier 1 tower, at least drop it down to half HP with this first exorcism being used. A good pick off the Neeks coming from the side in combination with the DB using his ultimate during this night time, using that vision advantage during the night to sneak up on the TA. And they did know that the TA was forced to jungle either one of those two side camps that is there next to the mid-tier 1 tower. But a lot of pressure. They're keeping this TA on check, and keeping Mirza in check is absolutely key to winning. Because you don't want him, especially playing as a TA, to get away with the game. And we spoke about how strong Mirza gets on this TA if he is given a free lane. And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we do see one pull going with the Sage Meister getting that pull off, and they want to get this kill, and they might actually be able to get this the pullback, but the Lich does not get caught to this. The Frost Shield is going to be used, and the Sage Meister is going to be in a world of hurt, and it's one more right click, and he does go down, so that's a little bit falling down. Meantime, back to the mid lane, which I mean, the TA did go down twice now, so obviously the DP winning this lane, not in terms of last hit, but definitely in terms of kills. He's 2-0 on the TA and falling behind in terms of around 2 CS against the TA. It's not a lot, it's not too bad. and he does have the EXP over him as well. The DP almost getting that level 8. And the first set of neutral items falling at that 7 mark. We did see the broom handle being dropped. Oh, meanwhile, the Axe wanted to go on to Hockey here with the Battle Hunger. That's a level 2 Battle Hunger, but there is a Rubik. They are going to telekinesis him back up with that Splinter Bars. The Monkey coming in as well. The call is going to be used, but Chanel AD Daniel is going to pay for this with his life. The boundless strike to finish it off. And that's the Axe time, second time in the top lane, and an immediate smoke going to be used by the support duo who is the Rubik and the Winter Wyvern trying to go on to Death Prophet. I don't think it's a kill that you can get, but they will try nevertheless. They are waiting for an opportunity. I think they were scouted out, but the Nyx is here as well. The double damage rune are getting spotted out, and they are not going to pressure this. And now it just turned into a haste rune. So he is going to sit on this rune for the time being until he sees an opportunity to maybe pick it up and go in for a kill. He does pick it up now, and he's going to try and move across the map. So still, I mean, anyone's game. Net worth is very even between the two teams. There's nothing really between the two teams at the moment, but the plus side is that PnX is having a much more decent game than they did last time around.
Yeah, definitely a completely different game, completely different turnarounds. You can see the difference in net worth as well as the difference in experience gain. But right now, they do have the tools necessary to get the team fight going. Monkeying is having a very good time here in the top lane against the Axe. The Axe is doing a good job of trying to get as much EXP as he can, but he's obviously feeding into the Monkeying as well by giving him a few kills. I think he's managed to clean up about 3 kills here. I think one time was under tower, so he does manage to deny himself there. But right now,
lost force bottom lane. They did try to go on to the puck, and the puck managed to ob out and use the dream coil defensively there. So that's going to be some time that the DP can actually push down mid, and he is going to be able to claim the first tower of the game, which is going to be a very critical tower, which is the tier 1 tower. And now the body blocks onto the Rubik. Rubik might actually go down here, and they are not going to chase this. And Hockey now coming in with the Winter Wyvern, with the Sprint Blast, going them down. Wyvern doing quite a bit of damage onto the Nyx, and they might actually try to go for more here. They are going to use that exorcism, trying to go to work on to the Wyvern, and he will get taken down there. And now for a push onto this tier 2 tower, they are putting the pressure. PnX seem to be in control of this game, and just heads up play there because the puck used the Dream Call bottom, and immediately we did see the DP playing a lot more aggressive mid lane, getting the tier 1 tower. The Rubik getting caught out there from the Nyx, who rotated in from behind, and then immediately catching up the Winter Wyvern next to it as well. So just a good heads up play from both teams. And now the bounty runes again going in favor of
Dyer's middle tower taking
what do you call
one
the
right
PnX
now.
Esports. Actually, it's going to be there's another rune here which he actually did not pick up for some reason, probably keeping it. Who is he keeping it? No one is bottling right now. There are no bottles, so the Lich is going to be picking up. I think the Axe just wanted the last hit more than that bounty rune, which will get picked up later on. So it's 3 for 1 again in favor of the PnX squad here, and things are not looking that great for the side of G-Men, even with their comfort picks. But the thing about these picks that they have, they tend to come back very, very strong. I have seen Mirza play this tier from behind. I have seen a similar game where he was really far behind up against a PL also, which is Omina top lane. The Monkey King gets called up into the chain frost and will get taken down, and that he is going to get ever so close to that Blink Dagger, which he is far away from at the time being at least.
Even looks like Mirza also, usually when you are playing your TA back in the day, you could always stack those ancients, and it was very easy to farm with using your side blades. But right now, looking at the way the things are laid out, it's very difficult to kind of get it stacked. And usually you see TS going for that Desolator initially and then going for the Blink Dagger. But right now he knows that he's really far behind, so best way for him to kind of catch up is just being able to.
Top lane, we might actually have some action here. They are trying to work on the Axe again. Axe is getting chased down. The boundary strike is going to be used to close the gap, and the Impel not latching on by the Rubik onto the Axe. Axe is still so tanky, he's running away, but the Nyx now trying to surprise. The Impel is going to latch on to the Wyvern here. Wyvern does not have his ultimate. They do see this, and they are going to chase Axe with the frost shield on him. He's trying to chase after the Wyvern, and Hockey will get taken down there by Tenzin. Gets with that cryptic form, and he wants to chase him over the call. He's not going to go, not going to latch on to that Rubik, and he's going to be A-okay for the time being. And meanwhile, the puck not going to fight this, at least for the time being. He's going to be just sitting on that bottom lane, just farming for the time being. And meanwhile, Yersa wants to go. Maybe try to just keep this puck off
Radiant's
the lane
middle
at least for
tower
the
is
time being.
taking damage.
But yeah, he is pretty fat. I think he has an item getting delivered to him. It looks to be that Mithril Hammer. So probably going in for that early basher. Not going for the usual blink daggers that we see, because now you do have the Earthshock to kind of close the gap. But right now, 1K net to a lead. It's not huge, but the map presence coming out from the side of PnX Esports seems to be a lot more stronger. They seem to be a lot more in control of this game.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see whether they can really turn it into something very positive for themselves. So 12 minutes in, they've gotten the outpost as well. So a lot of experience under their belts once again. But looking at last hits right now, it's a TA that's on top. But let's see whether he can actually convert that or just be able to manage to turn this game around. So far, the TA as well as the park have been focused very heavily on just hitting creeps and just getting that gold advantage, trying to get as much gold as possible. So stacks galore coming in for the TA as well, just to be able to catch up, get more items, get that blink dagger. So you can see 30-minute blink dagger even after dying twice is very, very good timing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of executes it. So he does have full refraction 2 levels in meld as well. So very confident build coming out from Mirzab himself. But right now it might be smoke timing coming down for this team for them to just rotate and try to look for kill.
Yeah, for sure. I think even after Paradox got shut down, he has got that decent timing on that blink dagger. But he is looking to pick up the Desolator next. He needs that to be able to burst down chase heroes like the Lich at the start of the fight, and even does very well against. Heroes like the Death Prophet as well as the Axe. You want that armor minus because to negate whatever armor that the Axe gets from that god. But anyhow, getting down to business there, we do see a smoke going to be used from the side of the G-men looking to go onto the side of PnX here. They are looking to fight bottom. We do see at Vendetta into the Impel there. The Impel is going to get stolen. He is going to get. Oh no, Sage Mice misses the Impel completely, but they will be able to clean this kill up. But no, he's still surviving. The one charge is going to save him for the time being, but the Lich will get taken down, and now the TP out from the Nyx, and he is going to get out. But no, the Prophet is there. He wants to fight the curse is going to be used defensively, but he will get taken down. And now everyone's just keeping out just because of the fact that the DP has committed his exhaust system. But will they fight this? Meanwhile, the TA gets caught out here by the Nyx, and they will be able to bring him down. This is really bad. Double kill. If they did not get that kill onto the TA, it wouldn't have been as worth. Using that exhaust system there, but getting that kill onto the TA made it so much more worthwhile. They are going to be able to get a couple of runes. Uh, this time it
But
will
what
be
a, what
two
a
for two
heads
kill.
up play from the Knicks, because he actually didn't even TP back to base. He TP'd
He
to the
cancelled.
tier 1 in the
Tier 1, okay.
he TP'd to the tier 1 in the bot lane. I think he had a salve or something, and he used that to heal up, and then he was able to come back into the fight because there's no way he gets that back to the fight that fast. And just being able to, I don't think he should have been able to get away in the first place, and that was just a little bit of just not focusing on the target that they really wanted. We saw the
Actually,
TA
they
jump
missed
on
the
the
impel. Yeah,
yeah.
they missed the impel from the Rubik.
Yeah, which is very unusual, right? Because usually you don't expect it because he had his own lift that he could couple the stun with. So it's very unusual mistakes coming out from G-Men, and they're actually paying quite heavily for it because the TA going down once again, even though he did manage to get a 30-minute blink dagger, is never great. You don't want to keep dying. You want to keep, you want to be able to stay on the map. You want to keep hitting creeps. You want to keep building up that gold and, get that desolator, because we can see, even though it's 30 minutes, even though he has died twice, he's almost one-shotting the Lich. The Lich took so much damage from that meld hit, so he needs to be very careful. And I think he went into his meld and he could have just TP'd out in the meantime, or maybe his TP was just on cooldown or something like that, because he TP'd on top of the Nyx, which is very unfortunate. The really good reaction speeds coming out from the Nyx assassin there to spot out the TA and cancel his TP, and then obviously securing a very, very huge kill for the side of PnX Esports. But even then, they weren't really able to convert it into any sort of objective so far. They managed to get T1 tower top and T1 tower mid, but in terms of vision, they have a little bit down here and there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of convert this, because maybe if they pull it on for too long, we might see a change in the game in a very little while.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, it's not very significant that the lead on the side of
PnX Esports.
Esports right now, it's just a 2K net worth lead. It's not massive at the 60-minute mark. I mean, it's not nothing. It's still 2K worth of gold, but you're still not talking of a huge lead here. So, and meanwhile, they know that the exorcism is down. This is a downfall of playing a mid hero with a big cooldown ultimate. It allows them to push as soon as they know that the ultimate is on cooldown. So they realize that the DP cannot come to defend this because he does not have his ultimate. But this is going to be a different story once he gets his Aghanim Scepter. It's going to be a whole other story. But until they do get it, they can pressure whenever they want to as soon as they realize that the exorcism is down. And with that, they actually interesting item choice. Not a fan, but the monkeying goes for Battle
Absolutely.
Fury, which is, to be fair, very decent timing.
Yeah, a good
That
timing, yes, but very greedy.
very greedy against the lineup that is coming out from PnX Esports, because just because of the fact that they are not going to work on this Roshan, they are going to put this pressure on the tier 2 tower. But again, need to mention that they are on a clock. PnX Esports need to keep playing this at a very fast pace. Later this game goes, the TA gets strong, the puck gets strong. Obviously, the marking is going to hit really hard later on, and he's still not even having an item. And I mean, Battle Fury doesn't really counter too much damage. And meanwhile, so the Aegis is going to get picked up on the Ursa. Now they are looking to fight. Meanwhile, the TA around 1,000 gold short of his Desolator. He's going to get close to that. They need to push down another tower before he gets that map control. I think they're looking to go on this top tier 1 tower, top tier 2 tower, and the mid tier 2 tower. These are the two towers that they have to be focused on with this Aegis, because it gives them so much of map control over what is happening, and it restricts the farm that the G-men can get across the map. Just because that's their own jungle, they're going to restrict that, and they are just going to basically draw a line across the map where PnX cannot the G-men cannot push forward without basically putting themselves at risk of getting picked off by the squad, because they do have the pick off potential on the side of what do you call PnX Esports. So
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very, very soon. I think very soon we're going to be seeing a play coming out from the side of PnX Esports as well, because the Axe has picked up that Blink Dagger as well. So timing-wise, not really the ideal timing, but getting it sooner is better than obviously getting it later. And they're going to be looking to make plays with that. And if they can grab another kill onto Paradox and slow down his farm, it's going to be great, because he only needs about 150 gold more to get that Desolator. And once he does, he'll be going in for most probably the BKB. And once he gets the BKB, there isn't much that they can do. I mean, the call is always going to be nice, and if they can focus him down, but if they focus down the Axe, there's really not much that they can do in terms of control, because even the DP can't really stop the refraction of the damage coming out from the GA. But obviously the BKB is going to be a while away, and Monkey, now that he has that Battle Fury, I mean, if they can create the space, and or if the side of PnX Esports take too long to take any sort of action, this Monkey King is going to get very strong very fast. And you can see he's already picked up that Yasha. He has the Vampire Fangs as well, so he has a decent amount of life steal that's working in for him, and he's building into that Sanj and Yasha and into the BKB straight away. So he'll be very, very strong if he can hit those timings. He has very good
we might
EXP
actually
as
see a
well.
fight here. We do see a call on the two heroes here, the TA and the Byron, both getting called. A lovely double impair. They are going to pop the exorcism as well. Oh no, the PA managed to blink out. Is he going to be able to TP out? There is no vision. They don't see him, but now the Monkey coming in with the ultimate here. The DP is in a lot of trouble. He is falling down low. He needs to survive, but he is going to get taken down, and now they are fighting inside Wukong's command. Winter's Curse, the buyback from the Winter Wyvern coming in. They are trying to get this kill on to the... Oh no, this is extremely bad. They lose all 5, and that's the Aegis pop. I saw the ending from miles away, Mirzab says, and this is the fight. This is the fight that they were looking at, and they do clean it up in fashion. They did not get the TA kill, and they paid for it dearly. And even the Monkey King, so tanky with that Wukong's command. The DP getting caught out inside of that alone. Nowhere to get out. He does have his agonists picked up, but just not enough sustain to survive inside. That another thing about playing DP in lineups like this is, like, in any case you need some sort of heal, some sort of saving grace for the DP, which they do not have. They need either Dazzle, Oracle, Wyvern, something to make sure that he survives that extra little bit during the fight. and they did not have that, and the DP just getting caught right in the center of that Wukong's command, and Monkey King just going to work. And another interesting choice, you mentioned the Yasha on the Monkey King. The SNY is one of the most favored items on the side of Jamin. I played with them, and it's a really good item just because of the fact that if you look at the side of if you look at the lineup on the side of PnX right now, they don't have any long duration stun, and they don't really have that what you call heavy damage dealing disables. The only heavy damage, magic damage that they're looking at is the chain frost, and nothing else. So going for the BKB is not as great. Whereas the Monkey King, with the Battle Fury, he's going for Sanjay Yasha, which gives him status resistance, and he's going to couple this with a Butterfly and Satanic, which means that he is not going to get disabled for that long. He's obviously only going to get disabled for 1 or 1.5 seconds each time that they use an impel or a disable on him. So he's going to be having a very free reign during the fights that they're going to take. And it's such a good item. I mean, I learned playing with these guys that SNY is really good, and I've been actually abusing it in whatever the matches that I actually do play when I have the time to play Dota, and it's actually a really strong item. So I mean, things are not looking that great. They lost the fight with Aegis, so definitely not good. Meanwhile, they do get an impel off onto the Puck. Puck falling down low. He does pop this string, but not going to be enough. And now they are going to use the Winter's Curse, and the Earth of Audio just stepping a little bit too close. And now the stun on the Wyvern. They will manage to clean up this Wyvern as well. Wyvern taking a lot of damage. Meanwhile, the Axe getting telekinesis, but no, they are going to be able to go for another kill here, and it's going to be another one falling on the side of G-Man. That's a triple kill going in favor of the Ursa, and Toad Boss pays for his life, with his life, for the mistake of playing a little bit over. Wait, what was that smoke? Did he smoke in front of a tier 1 tower?
Oh my god.
Oh,
What?
no.
That had to be an accident.
That
had to be an accident.
Yeah, obviously an accident, but that's a very costly accident. That's 80 gold just gone down the drain, and I don't know, I can't see how many smokes that they have left, but this is just push potential, because that's 3 heroes that they got. They don't have the Winter's Curse up, and they still have the exorcism up, so they are going to be able to push down this tower. Bottom might try to push in for more. Oh, they do get the impel on 2 heroes here, and they do get the call on the T as well. T falling down the coil on 3 heroes, but the exorcism is there. T falling down low, he's trying to survive here. He does pop the distraction, but he is going to get taken down. He does have a buyback, 70 seconds on the ground. He might need to pop it, and now the Monkey King. Keep is in, he is in front of the DP's face. They are looking to go for more. Are they going to go back? They do have the exhaustion, still up the Nyx assassin, taking a lot of damage, going to get taken down with that impel from the Rubik, and he will get taken down, and this is going to be a clear sign that they need to get back off. Oh no, Tenzin gets to getting slowed up, and now the Monkey King coming in with that Wukong's command on and now, but with an excellent chain frost, keeping everyone in at arm's length, but not going to be enough. They will lose the DP who did pop his exorcism and builds up yet again. I saw this coming miles away. So the thing is, this is really good for G-Men. That's why they're happy about it. Because, like I said, these guys are on a timer. They need to make things work. And I'm not sure what the Nyx Assassin was thinking, just walking up the tier 3 tower on such low HP. Immediately getting bursted down by that orb, as well as the impel coming out from the Rubik, who had it stolen. Just not ideal for them at all.
Yeah, I mean, they tried. I mean, they got the TA kill, which was very good. And if that let Tenza just kind of, stay in the front lines, do a little bit of damage with that, the remaining bit of the exorcism, it would have been much better outcome for them. But there just a little bit of overconfidence coming in from the Nyx Assassin. They were on adrenaline, probably. They were very confident because they gotten kill after kill after kill, and they were in a very favorable position. But even then, after all these kills, after all these plays that have been made by PnX Esports, they are still 3k net worth behind. The Access picked up the Blade Mail though, and that is going to be a huge part. Oh, the Blink Dots coming in from the TA. Oh, to Mr. Dodge the call. What a clutch play. What reaction speed coming out from Mirza there. Color me impressed.
Yeah, that was like a sick reaction speed from Mirza for that call. I mean, obviously there is a delay, but you need to be watching, and he was watching, and good reaction time from him. So now it is actually G-Men playing on the aggressive. They know that they're strong. They know that the Death Prophet ultimate is down for some time, and they're going to make use of this. It is a couple of seconds. They know exactly how long it will take, and they're going to make use of this and take this tier 2 tower down bottom. And another thing is, now it has come to a point that the PnX squad cannot actually fight without Aegis. They're waiting for the next Roshan. They are looking to pick up this next Roshan before they actually fight. And now the game has kind of turned on its head. We're talking about the timer, and I think this is game over right now. I think the timer for side of PnX has run out, and they're still looking to make something work here. They have smoked up. They do spot the Y1 here. There is no blink dagger, and they do pop onto the Y1, and they will pick him off, and they will get the Rubik as well. So that's 2 supports on the ground, and immediate pause coming out from the puck here. Not entirely sure what that's about. He did disconnect, so we will have to wait. I mean, this is not unheard of. We do have enough and more pauses in the Sri Lanka Dota 2 scene. Things happen. The country's interconnections are as such, and of course, speeds as such. Everyone has their own difficulties when it comes to playing games online. But obviously, everyone putting 100% effort to be here to play the game, and basically everyone staying at home, staying safe during these very troubled times, keeping their distance, but keeping connected through esports. And this is the best of esports that you can get when it comes to Dota 2 in Sri Lanka. It is these two teams butting heads, 1 game advantage on the side of the G-Men going up against this PnX squad. PnX squad got absolutely wiped in that previous game, but they are holding their own for the time being, at least against the side of the G-Men right now, at least for the time being.
Yeah, definitely. So that is going to be very interesting to see how they kind of turn things around. But right now, one thing that is their saving grace is if the TA does have the BKB. But if you get the call with the Blade Mail and this Abyssal coming out from Ursa, I think they have a very good chance of just being able to burst down the sea. And if they do manage to do that and then maybe disengage and get out of Wukong's command, it's going to help them quite a bit. But right now, like you said, the time is slowly running out for the side of PnX heroes. It's going to be very difficult for them to make a change, or in the sense that just being able to make the plays right now, even with the 4K goal net worth difference between the two teams. And this BKB is going to be playing a huge part in how the fights go, because that's going to be a lot of control that they can use to keep Paradox in check, not in check anymore. So it's going to be weighing on the Axe as well as the Ursa, because they need to coordinate really well to bring down Paradox. And obviously Nyx is going to be playing a very pivotal part in being able to use both the carapace as well as the stun, and he needs to land it. But with that, we do see Park coming back into the game. But right now, it seems very close, and I think the next team fight is going to decide a lot in terms of how this game is going to take a turn. So it's so far, it has been a very good fight coming out from the side of PnX Esports, but their timer is slowly running out. They're going to be feeling the pressure. Can they rise to the occasion and take a win? So go when ready is the call, and we'll be getting back into game number 2 here for the Samsung Online Esports Showdown Grand Finals for Dota 2.
This is what is going to happen. Since the 2 supports are down, they're going to take this tier 2 tower easy. They're not going to contest this on the side of G-Men. But the next fight, like you said, is very critical, because if PnX wins this next fight, they're going to run away with the game. I feel like the next fight is going to lead to a tier 3 tower and maybe Roche even after that. So they're going to be able to convert this into a really huge win. But if it is G-Men who wins the fight, then it's going to be very hard for PnX to come back. I feel like that is going to be game at that point if they lose. And now, right now, they know they are going to check Roche. They know that the Roche is going to be up now, and they will be looking to clear this Roshan up, and that is going to be Aegis and Cheese mandatory for the DP. I feel like he 100% needs that Cheese, not Aegis obviously, because if you respawn after die, you don't have the exorcism up, obvious reasons, but they really do need that Cheese as well as the Aegis to take this next fight. But they are scared to just run into the Roshan pit. Not forgetting how strong the team fight on the side of G-Men are inside the Roshan pit, and they immediately smoke. They are looking to take a fight here. Smoke is going to get broken on the side of TA, because the Nyx was there with Vendetta on, and that is a sentry place down to scout that out. And they will devour that sentry at least. So they were just checking Roshan. So there is a trap inside Roshan, which means that PnX cannot just go inside the Roshan pit to take Roshan right now. knowing this, G-Men are ready to go. They are looking to go to work on this stage which are made. The Ursa Warriors there. Can they burst this tier down and keep the Wyvern in control when the call is going to be there? But the immediate heal, and now the Wukong's command from the marking with the coil combined is so much of damage. The Axe will get taken down by the TA so low, and he will get taken down. Decent trade, and meanwhile the monkey king, oh no, he survived. What on a quarter HP, but in the meantime the DP is still so strong. They will lose the monkey king here as well. Just be careful. The impel, he does not have an impel, but the DP is going to be able to clean this up. So that's going to be 3 for 3 trade. Meanwhile the puck is still alive. He is looking to get toward this next. Can he be quick enough here? He is going to pop this Vendetta. Going to look for heroes here, but meanwhile the puck is going to be able to TP back into that base. So I think it was a really good fight. Bit unfortunate, Ursa almost had the marking. If the Ursa didn't manage to get the marking there, definitely the fight is completely different. Now the fight just breaks into being
yeah, because if the Ursa doesn't die there, Terror, it's a free Aegis as well, right?
yeah, for sure. And another thing is that just because the fight was even, it's still anyone's game. But again, still advantage to the side of G-Men there, because they are not the people who are on a clock. And another interesting fact that I need to mention is that the butterfly, which was picked up on the Monkey King, actually negates the damage that is coming out from the exorcism. From the Death Prophet, which is again physical damage, and also the Ursa. So this butterfly is doing quite a bit of work for him during this fight. We saw it just now, and after he gets
the Lich, the poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. He's going to have everything used on him. But meanwhile, they're still looking for a fight. Ursa walks in. He does have that abyssal. He is looking for a jump in. He might try to go on Mirzab. No, he's not going to use it. And meanwhile, no, they're not going to be able to pick anyone off there. And now we do have the Rubicon Vendetta looking to catch someone out there. They need to be careful. The Marquis joining the fight as well. And they are going to back off, at least for the time being. Ursa needs to be careful. He does not have a BKB here. He gets telekinesis up. And the TA jumps in onto the Ursa Warrior. Oh, what a lovely call. A 3-man call there. But is it going to be enough? A 3-man call, impel as well. It's not going to be enough. The Ursa Warrior will go down. They only get the Rubik for this. That's a Wukong command as well as the BKB use. And they do use the Winter Skills just on the Neeks here. Neeks will get taken down here. The Kappa is going to be used. Starting out 3 heroes, 4 heroes there. But the Boundless Strike gets the drop down. That's a double kill for the Marquis King. So that's a 2-for-1 play. They do get the Ursa Warrior here, which was a critical kill that they needed. But the Ursa, I feel like he's so squishy right now. He just dies inside the Wukong's command. It was a really good initiation from the Axe, a 3-man call into a 3-man impel, followed up by the Neeks, but just not getting the job done.
But the impel actually it was like I understand like the play was very nice to watch, but because of the 3-man impale, the Axe, even though he managed to call the Monkey, he was able to drag him out of Wukong. And mind you, Satan on the Monkey was on the edge of the Wukong's command on the top right. So if Axe was actually able to drag him out, that means they survive. They don't actually get taken out, and a lot of the damage that actually comes in and the zonal potential that comes from Monkey. But meanwhile, there's actually engagement. So I'll let you take over from here, Terra.
Yeah, meanwhile, it was the Aegis claimed by the side of Jimin. They did manage to pick off the Lich yet again with the Dream Call being committed for it. I mean, it seems okay right now. They're so far ahead. They don't really care about it. The 7K network lead, Mark King looking so strong. He's actually queuing up that BKB. He doesn't want to get chain stand here, but I feel like he doesn't need it. He has Titan Slaver, which gives him 16% more status resistance, and then he has 30% 20% status resistance with Sanjay Yasha, and then you can build into a setting which gives him even more status resistance, which means that he's not going to get disabled for a really long part of long duration. I think he really does not need the BKB at any point during this game. Probably a bit worried after the last engagement where the Axe almost managed to put him out of the Wukong's command. The fight would have been extremely different. I need to say that was a very good observation by you, and you were right. If the Axe actually managed to drag the Monkey out of that Wukong's command, it would have been a completely different fight. I think at that point, if the Wukong command falls apart, they'll win that fight. The Monkey doesn't die the Ursa doesn't die as fast. He's going to survive for a longer time, and the premature usage of Ursa's ultimate, which Enrage, just I think he lost them the fight because that was a very early enrage that he used because they were going on him. I mean, fair enough, the TA jumped on him with Melt Strike with the telekinesis from the Rubik. So obviously he was forced to use it, but after that he is not going to survive during the fight. So definitely a pretty bad engagement just overall. They did not play it as effectively as they could. So it was a pause. I'm not sure what the pause is all about. Um, just waiting for the game to resume back up. So meanwhile, uh, things are looking pretty bleak. I think we were talking about how much of a timer this game was on for the PnX side, and it looks like that time has run out. And it is the G-Men in control of this game. They have the cheese on the TA. We have the marketing with the edges. Like, it's going to be a very hard fight. They need to absolutely throw this game, but who knows? 10 minutes more, it will be 40 minutes, or rather 8 minutes more, it will be 40 minutes. And that is around that mark is where Sri Lankan teams tend to throw. Even the really good teams like the squad from the G-Men as well as the PnX esports team here have been known to throw games at that 40-minute mark or somewhere close to that 40-minute mark. It's not unheard of. We have definitely seen it before, and we might see it again. And we might have a longer game. Might be one of the longest games that we cast. I mean, I'm down for a long game because I have been out of the casting scene for such a long time. I don't mind actually getting in for that a really long game where both teams just go absolute ham on each other. Maybe, who knows, tier 5 items.
Yeah, so actually, curiously enough, what was the longest game you've casted? Just out of
Um,
curiosity.
you know, this was actually a really long time back. This was when I started actually 1 year into after I started casting. It was a GCDL game. It got delayed. It was supposed to start. So our normal game times are at 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, if you remember right. I think it's still the same. We start one set of games at 8 p.m. and the next set of games at 10 p.m. And this is the time there were a couple of power cuts, and then we tried to accommodate a lot, and we rescheduled the game back at 11 o'clock just because I wanted the teams to play, and I was able to stay up. So I said, okay, it's fine. We'll start the game at 11 o'clock. It was a genuine issue. So we started the game at 11 o'clock. And then there were ISP issues. There was another issue during those days where the server lines, where the server part that our ISPs take into the DOTA servers was not optimized. So there was a lot of lagging issues on different ISPs. So people started disconnecting here and there. And if I remember right, this was before the rule for pause allocation was put, if I'm not mistaken. And the game ended up going, the game we started at 11 o'clock ended up going on till 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And that was when the game ended. So basically a 4 to 5 hour game, which almost a 4 hour game that I casted, which was, I think I fell asleep multiple times during that game. Just because so many pauses. It was, I mean, to be honest, it was getting extremely dull. That game was so draggy. But yeah, that probably was the longest game that I casted online for sure. And LAN, in terms of LAN, I think the longest game was during a inter school esports championship tournament. First game of the day. It was, I think, schools or Mercantile. I can't remember. One of the two.
Makes sense. I think it was more. It makes sense if it was Mercantile, I think.
Yeah,
More than schools.
but no, I think it was actually schools, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think it was one of those big matches. I would say it was Royal College, I think, taking on St. Thomas's. First game of the day, hyped up. I think it was the first schools tournament, and the game ended up going for 1 hour 15 minutes or 1 hour 20 minutes. That game was, but yeah, I think it might have been Mercantile though. I'm not entirely sure. I lost track. It was so many games over the years, but yeah, that was one of the longest LAN games that I have casted.
For me, I believe I am not too sure on the LAN game. I think there was a few LAN games that went on for about maybe an hour or so, but nothing too much in terms of something that I can complain about. But the longest game that I actually casted was actually 3 hours. And guess who was playing that game? It was actually Scooby who was playing that game, and it was the time where he was spamming Bloodseeker. So he and his team were going up against another team, and me and Kavishka were on the cast. And I think they got like 8 or 9 Roshans in that game. Not really sure of the maths, but they got a lot of Roshans. And this is before the refresher shards and everything was obviously introduced. So it was a very long game. And the best part is, in that game, Scooby actually got like a 8-minute Boots of Travel on Bloodseeker,
Oh,
and then
wow.
immediately followed up by an ultra kill in like 2 minutes at 10 minutes or something. He got an ultra kill and he got his next item. And they just ended up taking the game for 3 hours, and they were actually losing at that point because they were on a timer. But because of one mistake made by the enemy team, they actually lost the entire game, and then Scooby's team was able to turn it around and move on. But me and Kavishka were so thankful that the game was actually over. And then later we find out that my mic was bugged, and everything that I was actually screaming and casting for 3 hours wasn't even captured in the actual
Oh
game.
wow! Oh wow!
Yeah.
That is so sad. That is absolutely sad. But in the meantime, we did have the last player coming in. I think it was some sort of an issue on their side, on one of the players' side, and he did come back into the game. So again, now Axe trying to cut waves.
the
Now
Oh, he had to cancel. No, the boy gets caught out. How unfortunate is that?
Yeah.
And that is going to be a very dead axe. Oh
yeah,
no.
down on the ground for 45 seconds more, which is not too bad to be honest, just because of the fact that even though he died, he did the right thing. He wants to try and delay this push coming out from the G-men here and down the mid lane, because they do have that Aegis as well as Cheese. And with that, we do see them trying to come down mid. The Axe is going to be back up in 20 seconds. This fight is critical. So high ground pushers is always a bit weird. You can be, I don't know, even 20k net worth ahead, and you can still mess up a high ground push and the game can turn on its head. So I feel like G-men are just being very careful on how they approach this high ground push right now.
Yeah, definitely. They need to be very careful. I mean, they still have a decent amount of time on the edges as well, and the axe is coming up in a few more seconds. So the timing doesn't really work, but the axe, what he needed to do there was the best play that he could make to buy his team some time, and that was cutting the creep wave. And if he managed to maybe blink into an area where they couldn't really spot him out, he might have been able to get out there, but really unfortunate there. But great stuff nonetheless to buy himself his team some time. But end of the day, they are on a timer, like we mentioned multiple times, and this monkeying actually purchased up he's satanic as well, so he's very tanky. He has 2700 health, and he also has a lot of lifesteal, so he's going to be very difficult to take down, because even the butterfly is going to keep him survivable for a very extended period of time. And the puck is also hitting a point where he's going to be very powerful. The MKB being picked up on Ursa, so the butterfly is going to be nullified. The TA also right now
Technically not completely.
Not completely. It does have a few chances to miss, but something is better than nothing. But with that, even the TA very close to finishing up the nullifier. The nullifier is going to be a very important item to be able to pick up, just to be able to burst anyone down and prevent them from using those very key items that they need. Because
now
right
it doesn't silence items, by the way. It basically debuffs targets over a duration of time. I am not going to talk about it too much, just because I haven't used this item. So it dispels the targets for 5 seconds continuously.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it doesn't silence items anymore, which I'm not entirely sure how the interaction works, because I haven't used it, but we might see it. But while you were mentioning items, right? So the monkey cake has 53%. 53% status resistance. That means the impel lasts half the time, the call lasts half the time, the sinister gaze lasts half the time. This guy is not going to get disabled anytime soon.
Yeah.
and even the abyssal lasts half the time. So 53% status resistance is a lot. So meanwhile, Ripacket is going to get popped on the tier 3 tower top. They are trying to push in. They are still holding. Oh, meanwhile, BKB popped with that exorcism. They are trying to chase, but the TA managing to get out here. They will steal that. Oh, the Winter's Curse holding him in place. Meanwhile, the call on to the Monkey King, who is getting healed up, and he will get taken on. That is going to be Aegis pop for the time being. No Winter's Curse. They are looking for more pickoffs here. The Warrior needs to be careful. The Monkey King is there. He's going to get that Wukong's command off, but he does have that Satanic key. He's going to be able to pop it. He is not. The Warrior pops his ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. He will get taken down. That is the Axe as well as the Warrior down. And meanwhile, the DP, the only one alive, and he walks into the Wukong's command. The Aeon this game is popped for the time being, but the Monkey King is so strong that is going to be a dead DP. But now there doesn't come back. He heals fully, and meanwhile we do see the TA cleaning up house inside their base, and that's the Death Prophet going down as well. This might be all over. They will clean up this tier 3 tower on the top lane. It's going to be quite easy. 16k net worth lead. Chill Baby is the call from Hockey, and Mirza obviously spamming the same line. I saw that ending from miles away. It looks like they had the game plan. They executed it really well. They played for the timing that they knew. They knew that the other team was on a timer. They played it slow, tried to turtle the game as much as possible, get the items that was required, and they did manage to take this tier 3 tower mid as well. Still, the Radiant team holding out for the time being hasn't called GG. They will lose the second set of racks. The DP is on the ground for another 30 seconds. No exorcism up for the next 50, and another pause from the Buck. I'm not sure exactly what is happening.
Yes,
But yeah,
probably just running into a little bit of issues right there. But so really, in terms of turning point right there, I mean, the DP was doing a really great job of just pressuring and making sure that they were trying to keep the TA as well as the Monkey King just at bay. But even though they had the Aegis and the Cheese, and the initial way that the DP was pressuring the Monkey King was good, and was able to bait out the Satanics from the Monkey King very, very early. And then from there, the engagement was just really weird because he used BKB, he ran into 4 heroes, and then focused down the Rubik. Because he was probably the most squishiest, or the one that it was really the one that kind of was in the area when he was using his spells. And then from there, the Winter's Curse was used on the DP. He still gets a kill on the Rubik. Rubik buys back and comes back into the fight. Then we saw immediately getting the call onto the Monkey, and then a nice call embrace coming in from the Wyvern to kind of buy some time. And then they got really greedy, just waiting for the second respawn from the Monkey King. But anyway, looks like the puck is back, and we're going to be getting back into the action. It's going to be probably the last phase of this second match. So let's see how it goes. Over to you, Tara, to finish things off.
yeah, I think things look pretty bleak for PnX here. He is sitting at 8k gold right now. He is getting the courier to probably deliver the what do you call? Sorry.
The nullifier.
Nullifier, yeah, the nullifier, and maybe even a divine at this point because he's so far at Monkey and pops that ultimate, just securing this last set of racks. I think this is all over. But of course, PnX is not going to call it. They are going to hold off for the time being. They are looking for just one more fight, maybe Axe and as a combination just running around. They are looking for a pick off. The Rubik needs to be careful. They do pop the Rubik quite easily. But that's just a Rubik. They're looking for more right now. But they haven't called it yet. They are hoping that the G-Men will make a mistake. And that's a spell person now picked up. And that is going to go to the Puck most probably, who does have his Aghanim's up as well. Yeah, probably he will pick it up. Oh, and a lovely item to have, Illusion Escape. I really like this item just because you can bait out a lot from other heroes. Meanwhile, TA might get caught out here. TA needs to be careful. He still hasn't broken the smoke. No one sees each other. But they do spot out the Monkey King. And he will get popped here, will he though? Oh no, the heal. And now a lovely ultimate from the Winter Wyvern. The Monkey King will get the boundless off. He's surviving the set. Nick gets popped as well. That's 2 heroes down. 3 heroes down on the side of PnX here. And the Monkey King, this is all over. Chill, baby, chill. Immediate tips going off. And the Wyvern just being at the right place at the right time. That's the DP down. GG, well played, score. There you have it, guys. That is G-Men taking the Dota 2 champion of this showdown of the grand finals, basically, of Dota 2.
Yes, so great stuff coming in from the G-Men there to win the Samsung Online Esports Showdown Grand Finals for Dota 2. And I think they were in control of that game. In the initial stages, it seemed like they were struggling quite a bit, but they were able to turn it around. They were able to get those very, very key team fights in, and I think all started from that one fight near the rune in the bottom lane, where they were able to turn it around with that Wukong's command, and just the fact that the Monkey King was given so much space, and in the end, that decision to go into Battle Fury, just being able to have your teammates create space for you and make sure that you have enough time to build up those items was just the right amount. And with that Satan is coming into play, and just this is why we don't give Hockey the Winter Wyvern. I mean, what a play coming out from him in the end. Just, a little bit of a highlight reel right there with the Winter's Curse to make sure that everyone kind of doesn't really get out there. The Boundary Strike was there. The Satanic was there. He went all the way back to full. But with that, you can see right now on the screen, it's going to be G-Men taking the grand finals in this best of 3, 2-0 over PnX Solan Esports. So congratulations to the G-Men, and that is going to be another title under their belt. A lot of experience, a lot of time put into the game, and definitely a very, very well-deserved grand final victory for the side of the G-Men. So the timer running out there in the end for the side of PnX Solan Esports, but great fight coming out from them, great execution, great effort put in from them in that game number 2 to try to keep their chances alive. But in the end, the G-Men just proving a little bit too strong, and in the end, giving them few key heroes that they play quite often, that they're very comfortable with and very strong in this meta, really makes it very difficult for them to make any sort of play right there. So great stuff coming in from the G-Men, and really unfortunate circumstances there for the side of PnX Esports. But in the end, your Dota 2 grand finalists or the winners are going to be the G-Men. So congratulations. So before we do wrap things up, Tara, is there anything that you'd like to say to our viewers or in general before we wrap things up?
Yes, for sure. I think the only message that I can give is for everyone to stay at home, stay safe, follow the guidelines, and keep gaming, man. This is the best time that you won't get this much of free time to game on any other way, and you all have been given enough more time to hone your skills, be better players, and basically practice hard, play hard, and you might be the next grand finalist of the next tournament held by GLK. So play hard, and I shall catch you guys when I cast again, basically.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Tara. So with that, before we do head off, we obviously have to thank our sponsor, Samsung, for making this possible, bringing in over 2,200 players together, stay apart to stay together, obviously, and making sure that everyone is occupied during these very, very difficult times. You know, just having 11 titles across the board, over 2,200 participants connecting from home. So many great grand finals have already concluded, and Dota 2 concluding today. We do have more grand finals coming your way, so definitely something to look forward to in the future as well. And then obviously we have to thank MSI as well, so bringing in their 10th generation laptop. So great stuff coming on from them to keep the gaming going for all of you from home, making sure that you have something that you guys can use to keep gaming on, just like Tara mentioned. And like you said, you know, no better time than the present to make sure to abuse as much time as you possibly can to game. I mean, I wish we had this opportunity back in the day when we were competing, but you know, end of the day, that's how it works. But overall, great stuff coming out from both teams, and obviously we had to thank the GRK production team, always behind the scenes and making this an experience for all of you that you can watch from home, obviously, remote connection. So me connecting from Kovala, and obviously Tara all the way from Mount Lavinia, and everyone else also contributing from Polonara as well as Ratmalana and Navala themselves. So a lot of huge appreciation going the way of the GRK production team as well as the GRK staff, making sure that everything in the tournament goes very, very smoothly, very cleanly, and obviously making sure that everyone is on time and everything can work accordingly, and basically everything works like clockwork. So thank you so much to everyone, and obviously thanks to everyone who tuned in from home and joined us for this grand final. Hope you guys enjoyed the action as much as we enjoyed casting it. But that is going to be it from us. Thank you so much for joining us, and that is going to be it. So stay tuned for more action from the Samsung Online Esports Showdown. We do have more great grand finals coming your way, but this is going to be it for us for tonight. So good night, have a nice day. We'll see you on the next one.